Good evening, everybody. My name is Alon Anava, and today we're going to talk about the most important topic that we need to know and concentrate about, is the fact that Moshiach is coming any second. And I know many people say, we've been hearing about it for so many years. Why should it come now? Thousands of years we've been hearing that Moshiach is coming, Moshiach is coming. Now he's going to come? Why? Why should he come now? So tonight, I'm going to try to cover a few topics. The first topic is sources that prove to us that Moshiach has to come now. Now, in the last half a year, I did a very, very long research, and I got to about 300 pages of sources from Torah, from Tanakh, from the Zohar, from Midrashim, from the Gemarot, from Mekubalim, 300 pages of sources that all shows that the Geulah has to come now. I'm not going to share with you all these 300 pages. I'm only going to share a few of them because it's not so important. But the most important thing to understand is that the Geulah is happening now. The Geulah, I mean the redemption, the coming of Moshiach. Once we understand that we're right in the doorstep of the Geulah, that Moshiach is coming any minute, then the next step is, how am I getting ready? Because nobody wants to be caught that Moshiach came and you're 1 minute too late. So this is the most important thing. Now, since the topic is so long, I'm going to try to condense it as much as possible. I don't know how long the lecture is going to be, but I'm going to try to make it not too long. Be'ezrat Hashem, after the lecture, I'm going to give time for questions and answers, and then you can ask me whatever you want. Please don't stop me for questions as I go. It's very confusing, and some people don't want to hear your questions and your interrogations. Then I'm going to leave later time for questions and answers. You can ask me whatever you want. So for 5,000 years, we've been hearing constantly that Moshiach is coming. Since the destruction of the second temple, we've already been hearing that Moshiach has to come. And then, the biggest question that everybody's asking is, like I said before, we heard about it so many times. Why does it have to come now? The reality is that we've been waiting for Mashiach not only 2,000 years from the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. From the day the world was created, we already were talking about the coming of Mashiach. Right when the world was created, open Sefer Bereshit, and it says, "Veruach Elokim merachefet al pnei hamayim." Rashi says this is talking about Rucho shel Mashiach, the spirit of Mashiach. And there's many places in the Torah that it's already hinting about the time of Mashiach. Now, a lot of people say, okay, how do we know when Mashiach is coming? Because if we would have a date, maybe it will be easier to prepare. The truth is that the sages that knew when the Geulah is coming, and the Mekubalim and the prophets and anyone who knew when the redemption is happening, they chose not to tell us when it's happening. And there's a reason for that. The first time that we see that somebody knew when the Geulah is going to come is with our father Yaakov. And when he came to rebuke the tribes, if you remember, he came to rebuke the tribes, and it says, "V'ratza legalot et haketz." He wanted to tell them the date when Mashiach is coming. And then it says, "V'miyad niskalka da'ato." And right on this moment, he forgot. Now, come on. Yaakov Avinu forgot. The greatest of the three fathers, he forgot. This is not the type of person that forgets. He just made a quick calculation. What's going to happen if I tell them when Mashiach is coming? So he came to two conclusions. The first one will be that they will fall into despair right on the spot. Can you imagine? He's telling them Mashiach is coming in 4,000 years. Right on the spot, they're going to fall into despair and say, we give up. We don't want to wait so long. And the second conclusion he came to, he is that he said, if I'm going to tell them the Geulah is coming in 4,000 years, you know what they're going to tell me? Okay, so let's go and party. And in 3,999 years, we'll do tshuva right when it comes. So he decided not to tell them. Not that he forgot, he just decided, it's okay, I'm not going to tell them. And there are many occasions that there are sages or prophets that knew exactly when the Geulah is coming, and for the same reason they decided not to say it. And we know, the Gemara teaches us that the Geulah can come in two times. The first time that it can come, Beita, in its time. There's a date decided, and this is the day it's going to come. And then there's another option, that it's going to come, what's called ve'achishena. I'll bring it faster. Which means that if we, as the Jews, get our act together, we can bring the Geulah faster. These are the two options what it can come. There's also two options that the Geulah is going to come, what's called bechesed ve'barachamim. It's going to come in a very merciful way. And chas v'shalom, it can also come, I don't want to even say how it's going to come. In the book of Daniel, it says that if the generation has the merits, im zachu, then Mashiach is going to come, what's called on ananei shmaya, on clouds of glory. We're going to be taken on clouds, first class, from here to Eretz Israel. The Gaon Chida says, the Ben Ish Chai says, this is kepshuto, meaning that they're really going to be crowds. But for this to happen, to go first class on the clouds, the entire generation has to have this merit. This is only im zachu. If we have enough merits, that's how the redemption is going to come. This is what it says in the book of Daniel. But in the book of Zechariah, it says, im lo zachu. If we don't have the merit, Mashiach is going to come poor, ani verochev al chamor, poor and riding on a donkey. Now, not that he's going to come on a donkey, rather ani means poor, that we're going to be poor. It's going to come what's called be'aniyut. We're going to be lacking anything, which we see that it's actually happening now, this poverty. Verochev al chamor, riding on the donkey, chamor comes from the word chomer. Not chamor as a donkey, rather we're going to be slaves to materialism, which we see that that's what's happening now. We're all slaves to this materialistic world. So these are the two options how the Geulah can come. A, it can come in its time, be'ito, or it can come v'achishena, fast, and it can come good, and it can come not good. This is all depending on us. Now, there are many sages, not one, not two, many sages, many prophets, many mekubalim that knew exactly when the Geulah is coming. The main place where I drew most of the sources is from the Zohar, from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that says in many places clearly when the Geulah is coming. Many prophets came after that and explains the same thing. They all decided from the same reason why not to tell us when the Geulah is coming. Because if somebody would tell us 200 years ago, not 2,000 years ago, 200 years ago, that we have to wait another 200 years, how are we going to deal with it? How we as a nation would survive the Holocaust, the wars, what happened in Russia 100 years ago, how we would survive it. So I want to do in a very short way, touch a few of the sources, how we really know that Moshiach has to come right now. Now, first of all, we know that the world was created for 7,000 years. It says in the book of Yeshaya, chapter 2, verse 11, that the world was created for 7,000 years. Now, first of all, it says in the pasuk, Shit alfei shnei have alma v'chad charuv. 6,000 years the world is going to be in one state, and then 1,000 years is going to be in a state of destruction. This is what it means. This is going to compare to the 6 days of creation. The first 6,000 years go to the 6 days of creation, and the last millennium, the last 1,000 year, corresponds to the day of Shabbat. This is what it says in the book of Yeshaya. So we know that the world is created for 7,000 years, And we're right now in the year 5776. Now, it says in the book of Tehillim, in Perek Tzadik, in the chapter 90, verse 4, Ke'elef shanim be'enecha keyom etmol, that 1,000 years of us is one day for the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So if this is the case, so our 7,000 years is 7 days for the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now there's a place in the Zohar, there's two places in the Zohar, in Parashat Vayikra and Parashat Ve'etchanan, that it says that when it's time for the Kadosh Baruch Hu, for Hashem, to pray Mincha of Erev Shabbat, that's the time when the Geulah is ready to happen. So all we need to do is calculate when is time for Mincha. Very simple, in Erev Shabbat. So if we go for the fact that every 1,000 years of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, of us, is one day of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, so the first 5,000 years correspond to the first 5 days. Now we know that the day in our calendar starts at night. It doesn't start in the day. Vayi erev, vayi boker. That's how we start the night. Now the sun goes down. That's when we start counting the day. So for the first 5,000 years, that corresponds from day Sunday till Thursday evening, when the sun goes down. So now we have to calculate from the sundown till the time for Mincha. Now how do we calculate that? From Tzet HaKochavim, when sun goes down, till the morning, till Alot HaShachar, is 12 hours. Exactly half a day. And we know that Mincha Gdolah is 6.5 hours from Alot HaShachar. So we have to calculate 18.5 hours. You do a very simple calculation. You take 1,000, which corresponds to the 1,000 years, divide that into 24 hours a day, times that 18.5 hours from sundown to the time of Mincha Gdolah, and that's going to give us the exact time when it's time for Mincha on Erev Shabbat. Now don't pull out your calculations, your calculators. 1,000 divided in 24 times 18.5, 770. That's the number. Now take the 5,000 plus 770, so you get 5,770. Taf Shin Ein. This was 6 years ago. This is the time, the year, that it's time for Kadosh Baruch Hu to put on his Erev Shabbat clothes, put the chunt on the blech, and go to pray Mincha. Now in our generation, it doesn't work like that. You pray Mincha a minute before Shabbat, but the right way to pray Mincha Gdolah in Erev Shabbat, that's the time, midday, 6.5 hours from Alot HaShachar. Which means if we go by the source in the Zohar that the Geulah can start happening when it's time for Mincha Gdolah, it's Taf Shin Ein, 5,770. That happened 6 years ago, which means just 6 years ago was the time that the Geulah can start happening. Now you have to understand that the redemption, the Geulah, is not a 1 second thing. It's a very long process. The Zohar says that it's a 72-year process. The Zohar says in Parashat Vayera that the process is going to be 72 years. 72 years corresponding to the name of Hashem, of the name what's called Ayin Bet. Hashem has 4 names that if you take the name Yud Kei Vav Kei and you break it to the Gematria, but with what's called Milui Otiyot, so there are 4 types of name. One of the names is the name called Ayin Bet, 72. This goes 70 years of what's called Chevlei Mashiach, and then 2 years of the time of Biat Mashiach, corresponding to the 70 screams, so to say, that a woman does when she's in labor. That's why it's called Chevlei Mashiach, like a woman that's going into labor. The time of the redemption is like a process of labor. And the Zohar says that it's going to take 72 years. And the Zohar did a very easy calculation. The Zohar says in Parashat Vayera, in the page 58, that the Geulah, the time of the Chevlei Mashiach is going to start, that the Malchut, the Shechina, is going to put its head between the Netzach and the Hod. That's what it says. Now we know that we have 10 Sfirot, 10 Sfirot. If you count the Sfirot from the top, from Keter all the way down, the Netzach and Hod is the seventh one. Take 1,000 years. We're constantly counting everything with 1,000 years. If you calculate it by the years that the Malchut, that the Shekhinah is putting its head between its knees, that's how it says in the Zohar, like a person that cries, puts his head in between the knees. But if you go by the calculation of the Sfirot, the Netzach and the Hod, it's 700. So if you count 700 from the 1,000 years, we come to the year Tafshin. Tafshin is 1939. 1939 was when the Holocaust started. And the Zohar says that in Tafshin, will start Chavlei Mashiach. The suffering will start. And sure enough, in 1939, the suffering started. So the process of the Geulah is a very long process. It's 72 years of what's called Chavlei Mashiach, of suffering. Then, after the 72 years, we're ready to start the coming of Mashiach. It's a process. Now, there's a very interesting prophecy by a prophet called Zerubbabel. He's not such a known prophet. His name is Zerubbabel ben Shaltiel. He's the great-grandson of the king Yehoiachin, who's a direct descendant of King David. There's a book what's called Sefer Zerubbabel, the book of Zerubbabel. He's mentioned in 4 books, in Haggai, in Ezra, in Divrei Hayamim, and Zechariah. He's mentioned 4 times. In his book, there's a prophecy that he says that for 40 years, we're going to have possession of Yerushalayim. After the 40 years that we have possession of Yerushalayim, there's going to be 5 years of a period of Mashiach ben Yosef, and then Mashiach ben Yosef is going to die, and then the birth of Mashiach ben David is going to start. Now, in history, when did we start having possession of Yerushalayim? After the 6-Day War in 1967. For 2,000 years, we didn't know, nobody had possession, not on Israel or Jerusalem. In 1967, we started having possession of Jerusalem. So take 40 years that he's talking about, from 1967, that's 2007. Add the 5 years that he's talking about, the period of Mashiach ben Yosef, that's 2012. So according to his prophecy, at 2012, it's time for the birth of Mashiach ben David. 2012 is the year Tafshin Ayin Bet. There are numerous places in the Torah, and all the Mekubalim calculated that the Geulah has to come at Tafshin Ayin Bet. I didn't mean necessarily that Mashiach is coming at Tafshin Ayin Bet. Tafshin Ayin Bet is 2012. That the Geulah is going to start. And this is the time that this prophecy from Zerubbabel, after the 40 years and the 5 years, that's the time when Mashiach ben Yosef is going to die, and then we're starting the period when Mashiach ben David is going to be born. Amazingly, now please don't take my words out of context, amazingly, at 2012, one of the greatest leaders of our generation, whose name was Yosef, passed away. Maran Ovadia Yosef, that's when he died, 2012. And it says, there's a prophecy in the book of Zechariah, chapter 12, verse 12, that when Mashiach ben Yosef is going to die, there's going to be a massive evel, a mourning. There's a place in the Gemara in Masechet Sukkah, page 52, that it's talking about that when Mashiach ben Yosef is going to die, the entire nation will mourn. I don't know if you noticed, remember, but when Maran Ovadia Yosef died, 800,000 people came to the funeral. They closed Yerushalayim. There wasn't ever such a funeral to any one of our, rabbis in our generation. Now, don't take my words out of context, because people think that I'm saying that Maran Ovadia Yosef is Mashiach ben Yosef. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that amazingly, that exactly on the time that the prophecy says that Mashiach ben Yosef is going to die, one of our greatest leaders in our generation, that's when he died. And the same name. But again, please do not take my words out of context. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying amazingly. I don't like saying the word coincidence, because there's no such a thing, but that's what happened. Now, there are many different prophecies that show us how we're So close. Now, there's an amazing prophecy by the Gaon from Vilna. And he says that when the Russians are going to cross what's called Metzarea Bosorov, I think it's called Sea Strait. Sea Strait is when two continents are very close and there's a very narrow path. The Gaon from Vilna said that when the Russians are going to cross the Metzarei over the Bosorov, you should put your Shabbos clothes on because Moshiach is coming. And you know when that happened? It happened half a year ago, that the entire Russian Navy crossed this sea split of the next between Turkey and I think it's Ukraine. There's a same exact prophecy by another two tzaddikim. Three tzaddikim said the exact same prophecy. The Gaon from Vilna, Rabbi Israel from Bruzhin, and the holy Jew from Psicha. They all said the same thing, that when the Russian army with their vessels and their ships are crossing these sea strait, There's also a prophecy by the Baal Shem Tov that says the exact same thing, that when the Russians are going to start a confrontation with the Turks, and they're going to cross the same place, then you can start getting ready because the Geulah is about to come. Now, mainly the sources that I drew out are from the book of the Zohar. And I'm just going to point out a few that I found that are amazing. There's a place in the Zohar, in the book of Balak, in the page 212, Parashat Balak. And the Zohar is saying that right before the process of the Geulah is going to start, in one of the major cities of the nation of Romi, which is Edom, which is the United States, at the end of Elul, that's what it's saying, at the end of Elul, in one day, 3 towers are going to crash and fall down, which I don't know if you remember, but September 11 was Chaf Gimel Elul, the end of Elul. And in one of the major cities of the kingdom of Romi, which is the United States, 3 towers fell down. Now, a lot of people say, no, only 2 fell. Just look in history. The third building, Building 7, fell the same day from the impact of the 2 towers falling. Another building fell, Building 7. It's a building with 41 floors. This is a tower. It's not a little building. 3 buildings fell at the end of Elul, exactly how it says in the Zohar. And on the same day, that's what the Zohar says, that the Ma'oz Heichal Uzo, the chamber of its might, is going to get damaged. The same day, the Pentagon got damaged. This is the chamber of the might of the country. So this is one of the first places that I found in the Zohar that it's talking about that right before the Geulah is ready to start moving, that's what's going to happen. And the result from that is going to be, will rise a king that will start wars all over the world, and he's going to go to the other side of the world. It's giving it the exact description what happened with President Bush that took an entire army across to the other side of the world. It's talking about that it's going to bring fire out of a cave. We know that at the time, Bin Laden was hiding in caves. So the Zohar was very particular in the Parashat Balak, talking about the falling of the 3 towers. Later it's talking on in the book of Vayera. In Parashat Vayera in the Zohar, that's where it comes with a lot of prophecies at the time, what's called Acharit HaYamim. It's talking about how, mamash, at the time of Acharit HaYamim, the sons of Ishmael, the Arabs, are going to make havoc all over the world. And they're going to cause not only problems and wars, they're going to cause the entire world to hate us. And we see that, sure enough, exactly that's what's happening in our time. Now, the Chafetz Chaim has a book, it's called Sefer Eliyahu, Lev Eliyahu, that it's talking about a prophecy that he's actually taking a few sources from the Zohar, but in this book, he's talking about one prophecy, and he's talking about the Holocaust, World War II. And he says that this war is going to be 5 years, and the result of the war is going to be destruction and unbelievable pain and unbelievable what's going to happen in this war. But 10 sabbatical years after this war, the nations of the Jews are going to have to go through 10 sabbatical years, and after these 10 sabbatical years, it's going to be the time for the redemption to start. And sure enough, the war was 5 years, and the destruction was not normal. And we counted from that war 10 sabbatical years, and now, half a year ago, we finished the 10th one. Half a year ago in Tishrei, we finished Shnat Shemitah, the sabbatical year, the 10th one. There's a prophecy from the Exile that he says the same thing. En ben David ba ela b'motzei Shevit. That at the time of the 10th, the end of the 10th sabbatical year, that's when the time when Moshiach is going to come. Now there's another prophecy in the Zohar, in the book of Vayera, page 32, that it's talking about that there's going to be 3 wars. 3 major wars, and the Zohar is calling those wars Gog and Magog. There's another place that it's talking about that the first 2 of these wars, they're not going to be close to Yerushalayim, they're going to be far away from Yerushalayim. This is in the book of Yechezkel. But the 3rd war is going to be very close to Yerushalayim. Amazingly, comes the Chafetz Chaim and he says, when World War I started, the Chafetz Chaim then said, this is the first Gog and Magog. And he says, in 25 years, the second Gog and Magog is going to start, and it's going to make the first Gog and Magog look like a joke. And sure enough, exactly 25 years later, started World War II, that made it the first war, bemet, look like a joke. And then he says that 72 years later, we'll start the 3rd Gog and Magog, which is going to make the second one and the 3rd one look even more of a joke. And sure enough, if you take the 72 years, we have 2 options. The first option is if you calculate it from 1939, which is the beginning, then you come to 2011, sorry. But if you go from the end, from 1945, and you add 72 years, it's 2017. So we have a buffer from the prophecy from the Zohar, from the 3rd Gog and Magog, that it's either going to be from 2011 or 2017. The thing is that nobody really knows. That's when the Arizal came and says, no. En ben David ba ela b'motzei Shevit, which means it can only happen now, meaning that we're in this short buffer. Now, the thing is that many people talking about this war, this Gog and Magog, and we're going to talk a little bit about this Gog and Magog because this is the most important thing to understand and to know. Now, there's another amazing prophecy by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. It's not in the Zohar, it's in a Midrash. The Midrash is called Otzar Midrashim. It's called Midrash Rashbi. It's page 556. There's a prophecy from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that he says that when the ruler of Damascus is going to fall, that's when Ben David, the son of David, who's the king Moshiach, then he's going to rise. Amazingly, if you're looking at the world affair, what's going on right now, the war is concentrated in Syria. And one of the major cities of Syria is called Damascus. In this prophecy, he's saying when the ruler of Damascus is going to fall, that's going to be the rising of the Goel Israel, the Redeemer of the Jews. Now, who's the ruler of Damascus? In this prophecy, he has a name. He gives him a name. And he calls him Niron Mizrahi. Now, Niron Mizrahi, what's Niron Mizrahi? We know that the ruler of Syria is not Niron Mizrahi. But amazingly, if you take the word, the name Niron Mizrahi, the gematria, the numerical value of the word Niron Mizrahi is the exact gematria of Bashar Assad, the ruler of Syria, the ruler of Damascus. And in this prophecy, he's talking how it's a kingdom in the east of Israel, and that's the kingdom where all the wars are going to be concentrated on. And when the ruler falls, that's going to be the rising of Melech HaMashiach. So we see that the wars are now concentrated on Syria. This is where the wars are concentrated on. Because before it were concentrated in Iraq, then it was concentrated in Paras. But we see that the wars right now, the thing is that when it's talking about Gog and Magog, it's talking about that the Gog and Magog is going to be a war between the nations, not necessarily against the Jews. Rather, the Gog and Magog that it's talking about, it's a war between the nations, which that is obviously, you see that it's happening. When it's talking about, in the book of Yechezkel, about how 70 nations are going to come against Yerushalayim, just open the news, you can see that it's already happening a few years ago, that all the nations are against Yerushalayim, against Israel. You know, in Israel, they want to build a veranda in Yerushalayim. The whole nations are going crazy. So we see already that all the nations are against Israel. They all go against Israel. Doesn't matter what we're going to do in Israel. You just move there. The entire world is going against Eretz Israel. Now, when it's talking about this war, it's talking about 3 wars. When the Chafetz Chaim was talking about the Gog and Magog, he wasn't referring to the wars with planes and bombs and all that. That's not what he was talking about. When the Zohar is talking about this war, it's called the war Gog and Magog. Milchemet Gigim. Milchemet Gigim means a war of thoughts. Now, everything that happens in this world is a manifestation of the world above, which means what happens in the spiritual worlds has to manifest into this world. That's how it works. So when the Zohar is prophesying about these 3 wars, it's not talking necessarily about the nuclear bombs and missiles and planes and these types of wars. It's talking about a war in the spiritual world. And it's calling it a war of thoughts, Milchemet Gigim. Which if you're looking in our generation, this is exactly the war that we're going on. We don't need nuclear bombs and airplanes. The war that we're going on in this generation, the war that we're fighting, is the war of thoughts. Everything is being injected into our mind. And any person, doesn't matter who he is, can be the most religious person or the most not religious person, we all have wars in our mind. Constantly thoughts are driving us insane. No person is eased. And this war of thoughts, if you're looking at our generation, you know, our generation is glued to screens. Everything is screens. You're looking at the computer, at the phone, at the tablets, at the TVs. Everything, our minds are like hypnotized by these screens. This is the war of thoughts. That everything is injected directly into my thought. Everywhere I go, you know, you go into New York, it's like billboards everywhere, flashing, colors. This is this war of thoughts, that my mind is constantly being injected with junk. Doesn't matter where I go, my eyes are looking at things and my subconscious is registering all this information. And we don't even notice, each and every one of you is in this war, this battle in their thoughts, and we constantly having this war in our mind. And all these thoughts are coming from one very simple place, from all these screens. You know, when our Gedolim, when our great rabbis of our generation are telling us how all this is junk, the internet and the phones and all this, they're not saying it's for no reason. Be honest with yourself and write yourself every day how many hours a day you're wasting on the screens. Be honest with yourself. I guarantee to you you're looking at 3-4 hours minimum a day that you're looking at a screen. Whether it's your computer, whether it's your phone, doesn't matter what it is. You're all slaves to the screens. And these screens, oh no, I'm just checking my emails. Oh no, I'm looking at a shiur Torah on YouTube. Wow, what can be better? Yeah, but after the 20 minutes of that video of Torah that I see the suggested ones next to it. And the ads that are on the top. Oh no, I'm just going in to send a few emails. Yeah, but in the meantime, I'm reading another 5 junk emails of nonsense. So we think that this war that our sages are talking about, that it's like nuclear bombs. Yeah, the nuclear bombs can come. But that's just a manifestation of what's going on in the spiritual realm. Now the thing is that, like I said before, there are numerous sources that show exactly how the Geulah has to come right now. What I said now is a fraction of what we have, but it was pretty obvious and pretty simple that Our sages knew exactly when the Geulah is coming, and we're looking at right now. Either way you're going to look at it, even though if you're calculating from what I said before, the time for Mincha, Tafshin Ayin, 6 years ago, yeah, it's already started. There's a period of what's called Chevlei Mashiach. According to all the sources, we're already past the Chevlei Mashiach. Now we're in the period of Leidat Mashiach, the birth of Mashiach. This is all periods. It's not like how we think that one day, that's it, it comes and it's over. No, we already started, at 1939, we started the Chevlei Mashiach. That's why a lot of the Gdolim in our generation said, we already Yotze, we already, the suffering that we went in the Holocaust, we're already finished with what's called with Chevlei Mashiach. Then we had all the suffering in the last 70 years. But the main suffering of what's called Chevlei Mashiach, we already finished that. Amazingly, you see that every time before a Geulah comes, a redemption comes an exile. The first exile that happened is not what we know and we're about to celebrate in 2 weeks, the exile of Mitzrayim. The first exile was at the time of the flood, because the entire world was in exile. But every time there is about to be a redemption, a Geulah, first of it, before that comes an exile. The main one that we know is the exile of Mitzrayim, Galut Mitzrayim. Amazingly, if you look after the exile, came not only the redemption, rather came the giving of the Torah. Our Chachamim teach us that they had to go through the suffering of the exile of Mitzrayim in order to be cleansed and prepared for the Ma'amad Har Sinai, for the receiving of the Torah. So they had to go through 210 years of severe suffering in order to be worthy to stand in front of the mountain and see godly revelation, that we cannot understand what they see there. We do not understand what it means, Ma'amad Har Sinai. Well, okay, we think it was a show, there was a mountains and, some special effects, and it wasn't like that. God came down on the mountains and millions of people saw it. They heard God's voice. We don't understand, we cannot relate what it means, Ma'amad Har Sinai, this godly revelation. And in order for them to be worthy to stand in front of this Gilui Elokut, this godly revelation, they had to go through 2010 years of suffering. That's how it works. So can you imagine what type of godly revelation we are about to see after 2,000 years of suffering? You can't even compare what we are about to see. That's why we're going through so much suffering. But now comes the biggest problem. Who's going to see it? You know the zchut you need? You know the merit you need to see the redemption happening? To see this guy coming like it came 3,000 years ago. Just imagine the picture. Go back in time, 3,300 years ago. You see a bunch of people carrying bricks. Wasn't really like that. And then comes this old man with a long beard, and he says, I'm the Redeemer. They're all like, no, come on. No, seriously, I'm the guy. Oh, no, leave us alone. We have enough headaches. Have to worry about this slavery work right now. Leave me alone. Nobody wanted to believe him. He had to perform miracles, and even then they still don't want to believe him. Nothing changed. It's exactly the same. Nothing changed. And I'm going to talk about it in a second because this is the point to take from this lecture. The proofs that Mashiach is coming right now, I told you, I have 300 pages of sources. What I gave you now, I think, is enough for you to understand that the Geulah has to come right now. If you're not convinced, then look at the rerun, look at the tape, because this is enough information to tell you, yes, the Mashiach has to come right now. Now what? So first of all, we know that we're in the midst of this war that is called Gog and Magog. We have two options right now. We have the option of letting it come naturally. I'm talking about the redemption. That's how we want it to happen. Because if it's not going to come naturally, it's going to come the other way. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem already prepared everything that however He wants it to happen, it's going to happen. If we have this chut and the Geulah is going to come nice, then Hashem says, no problem, just do tshuva, everything will be good. The Geulah is going to come be'esech hadat. We're not going to even notice, you get the tweet, he's here. You're going to get a ding ding from WhatsApp, he's here, pack your bags. Unfortunately, we don't know where we're holding right now, but looking at the situation of our nation, that's not such a feasible option. We don't want it to manifest into this world that the Geulah is going to come in the not nice way. Hashem already prepared everything. He prepared a star hovering over this world that they're saying is going to tear this whole world apart. You heard of it? Hashem prepared a star hovering over this earth. You know, the star is not an invention. It's talking about it in the book of Yechezkel, in the book of Zechariah. It's talking about it in the Zohar. There's many places in our Torah that it's talking about this star that's going to... How do you think the Goyim knew that there's a star? It says that 500 years ago they started looking for a star. How would they know that there's even a star? Because they opened the Zohar, and it says in the Zohar that there's a 10th planet in our solar system that comes to hover over this world every 3,600 years. So they took our scripts and they figured it out and they started looking for it, and they found it 50 years ago. So if Hashem wants to bring the Geulah with a star, He's going to bring it with a star. If Chas v'Shalom the Geulah is going to come not nice, He already prepared somebody in Iran that is crazy enough, and he just needs to press a button. That's it. All it takes is the first cuckoo to press the button, and half of this world is going to be destroyed. They say that there are about 200,000 nuclear missiles around the world just ready, just press the button. So if Chas v'Shalom, that's how it's going to come, Hashem already prepared that. Hashem prepared all the options. It's in our hands which ticket we're pulling out. Now the thing is that we are right now in this war of Gog and Magog. Don't look for the nuclear bombs. Just pray 50 times a day that it's not going to be with the bombs. But we're already in the war. We are in the war of Gog and Magog. What the Zohar is saying, Milchemet Gigim. Milchemet Gigim is a war of thoughts. Don't look at me how you're looking at me. Each and every one of you are in this war. Now, 3,300 years ago, when they were stuck in Mitzrayim, go back to the time machine that I told you, don't think that they were carrying bricks like this. That's not what was going on in Mitzrayim. People think that they were like building the pyramids. We didn't build the pyramids. There's nothing to do with us, the pyramids. They built it themselves. They built it with kochot kishufim bechlal. If you're thinking about it, how would they build such things? Yeah, they had sorcery, and they built the pyramids. We built Pitom and Ramses. It's a total different place. The thing is that the same way how it was 3,300 years ago, that's how it is right now. And 3,300 years ago, they were stuck in Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is not the name of the country, Egypt. Mitzrayim comes from the word meitzarim, meitzar, a limitation. And they were stuck in 49 gates of impurity. Nothing changed. Again, go in the time machine. They weren't like how you're thinking, how you're looking at the pictures in the Haggadah, that they were whipping them. That's not how it was. They were in a land, and there were slaves to physicality. Avodah kasha bechomer velvenim. Yeah, they were stuck in hard work. Each and every one of you is stuck in hard work to make money. We're all slaves to making money. We're also in the same exile. Avodah kasha, hard work. And chomer is the physicality. We're slaves to the physicality. I want a nicer phone and a nicer car and a nicer this and a nicer that. I'm a slave to the physicality. So nothing changed. Now our sages teach us that no slave was able to run away from Egypt. How? How did they do it? They didn't have fences. They didn't have surveillance systems. They didn't have anything what we have now. Egypt was not surrounded with walls. How did the slaves did not leave Mitzrayim? That's what our sages teach us, that not even one slave was able to run away. You know how they made it happen? In Mitzrayim at the time, in Egypt, they had a lot of kochot tuma, a lot of powers of impurity. They had a lot of idols. Paro was a mechashef. He was a sorcerer. He was able to control things with witchcraft. They had guard dogs. Now there's a pasuk that it says when the Jews left Mitzrayim, v'lo yecheratz kelev leshono, that the dogs did not bark. You have to imagine when the Jews left Mitzrayim, it's not like a few buses with some people. You're talking about 3 million people. 3 million people, this is more or less an evaluation what left Mitzrayim. Can you imagine 3 million people walking? And it says, v'lo yecheratz kelev leshono, the dogs did not bark. Now, not that the Egyptians had poodles, that, you know, like here you're walking next to a fence and the dog starts barking. They didn't have poodles then. If you look in the ancient scripts, they had some type of an animal. They considered it one of their gods. It was like in the shape of a human being, but the head was the shape of a dog. That was these dogs that Hashem made them quiet. And that's how a slave was not able to run out of Mitzrayim, because every time a slave would run out, these dogs, these idols would scream, hey, 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 he's running, and then they would catch him. Amazingly, it wasn't really like that. This was in the physical explanation, then these dogs would rat out, they would snitch. What these dogs used to do, that when a slave would come to the border, they would convince the slave to go back. Why? Where are you running? Everything's good back home. Where are you going to run now? You're going to run to the desert? What are you going to eat there? Your family's back home. Your business is back home. Go back. There's nothing for you to do. There's no other better place for you. Go back to your limitation, to your Mitzrayim. They would convince the person in their mind to go back. That's how they made sure that the Jews did not leave Mitzrayim. Reverse psychology. Now, when the Jews left Mitzrayim, that's when Hashem made these dogs quiet, not because they were barking. They couldn't convince the Jews to go back. So that's why they were able to leave Mitzrayim successfully. And the second they were in the desert, how many times it says in the Torah that they were complaining to Moshe Rabbeinu, why did you bring us to the desert? Isn't there enough graves in Mitzrayim? You came to bury us in the desert. All the time they are complaining in the desert. We want meat, we want this, we want that, the water is not good. The whole entire time they were complaining because they were still in this state of exile. And in order to leave Mitzrayim, to leave their limitations, Hashem had to quiet those dogs so they wouldn't be bothering them in their mind. It says, "Kemei tzetecha me'eretz Mitzrayim arenu niflaot." The time when they left Mitzrayim, there would be wonders. Shlomo Amalek says, "Ma she'aya hu she'yeh." What was will be the same. We are right now in Mitzrayim. We are now in the state of limitation, in exile, and the exact same power of impurity, this klipa that controlled the slave 3,300 years ago, is controlling us now. 100%. What are you going to do here? Oh no, I'm comfortable here. You know, every person, Baruch Hashem, had the zchut to do aliyah, to go back to Eretz Israel half a year ago. And every person that I come here often to give lectures, and every time that I come, I tell people, I tell them about Israel. Oh, Israel is the best. It's the best place ever. Oh, I wish I could live there. So why don't you go there? Oh no, you know, the business is here. The house is here. When the kids are going to finish college in 17 years, I'm going to go. Milchemet Gigim, the war of thoughts. This klipa, you want to move out of this Mitzrayim? Relax. What's bad here? Here, I'll give you a new car. I'll give you a little raise in your job. A new phone. Here. You want a new phone? Here, I'll give you a new phone. Every time you want to move out of your limitations, this klipa, this power of impurity numbs you, puts you down to sleep. It's okay. Everything's fine. Open your eyes. Nothing is fine. It looks like the world is about to go into the toilet. Excuse my language. Any person just opens up their eyes, sees that the world, I don't know how the world would... Let's for 1 second take Moshiach out of the picture and take the Torah out of the picture. For 1 second. I don't give this world more than a year to survive. The reality is that we are in Mitzrayim. We are in exile. Our sages say, "Bechol dor v'dor chayav adam lirot et atzmo kehilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim." Every generation, a person has to see himself like as if he went out of Mitzrayim. Again, Mitzrayim is not a country. Mitzrayim is not Egypt. Mitzrayim is a state of mind of a limitation. Anything that limits me, I'm in the state of Mitzrayim. And we're all limited. We're constantly limited by all sorts of things. And the limitation in our generation, the war that we are going on here in our generation, is the war of thoughts. This is our Mitzrayim. And every time that I want to come out of my comfort zone, I get pulled in. You know the klipa in Mitzrayim that control them? The klipa, the name of the klipa, the spirit, this power of impurity, was called kelev. That's why it says, "V'lo yecharatz kelev leshono." The kelev. Kelev is not a dog. Kelev is kulo lev, just heart, just midot. I want. You know, you ever saw a dog? Dog only wants. A dog is all heart. You do whatever you want to him. You'll beat him up. You'll throw him out the window. He will love you unconditionally. He'll come and lick your feet. Why? He constantly wants your attention. He's going to pull your attention. You know, some people are cat lovers, some people are dog lovers. The cat lovers, you know, the cat, you can come in from a vacation after a whole month, the cat is just going to look at you like... A dog, you go out of the home for 2 hours, you come back, he jumps over you, he licks you. Why? He wants your attention. He wants to take you away from your reality. That's this dog, this klipa. So this kelev, this klipa that was in Mitzrayim was kulo lev, just heart. Just give me, give me. This is the klipa in our generation. Give me, I just want more. Give me more. I want a bigger house, a newer car, a nicer phone. It's only 5 inches, I need 6 inches. So the same klipa that they had then in Mitzrayim, this is the klipa that is now controlling us now. Now amazingly, history always repeats itself. And everything that happened in our history did not happen by chance. Everything is precise and exact. 2 weeks ago, we celebrated the holiday of Purim. It's not a coincidence that Purim is exactly 30 days before Pesach. Purim happened 67 years after the destruction of the second temple. The first temple. When the first temple was destroyed, there was a prophecy that they're going to be leaving for 70 years and then coming back. 67 years later happened the whole story with Purim. 3 years later, they went back to Yerushalayim. I hope you remember that the Megillah is fresh in your mind, because I really do not want to start repeating everything, but in the Megillah we have a few stars. We have a Mordechai, the tzaddik of the generation. We have an Esther. And then we have the biggest star, the evil Haman. Haman is a direct descendant of Amalek. Amalek is a klipa. It's not only a person. It is a person and it is a nation, but Amalek is a klipa. The klipa of Amalek, we know that there are many different types of klipot. Klipa is a power of impurity, something that opposes holiness. The klipa of Amalek is known to affect the person. We read it in the Torah. We read it every day when we pray. Asher karcha baderech. It cools you down. And when does it happen? Once, the second that the Jews left Mitzrayim, they were all excited. Amalek came and cooled them down. Relax. You don't have to be excited. And this klipa, this Amalek, grabs us by our neck, behind. Why dafka the neck? Because we have 2 parts of our body. We have our head, a big head, and then we have a big body. And then we have this little thing that connects the head and the body, that connects my intellect, my mochin, to my body, to my midot. So what's going on here? It's one thing. It's my intellect, my mochin. What's going on here? My midot, my attributes, that's a different thing. And then I have to bridge between here to here. Comes Amalek and he grabs me by the neck, where it's limit, and he squeezes it. He doesn't want what's here to go down here. So I can understand something in my mind. I understand it. But to actually bring it into action, it happens, doesn't happen. I know in my mind I'm not allowed to desecrate Shabbat. I don't have to convince you. You all know you're not allowed to desecrate Shabbat. But to actually do it, that's a total different thing. I know in my mind I'm not allowed to gossip, to say Lashon Hara. I know I'm not allowed to lie. I know I'm not allowed to cheat. But to bring it into action, I have this neck that's stopping my mochin, my intellect, from going down into my midot, to my heart, to actually doing it. Why? Because I have this klippah holding my neck. Now, it's not only in the physical, in the spiritual world, where I'm talking about mitzvot and sins. Even in the physical world, what's here doesn't always come down here. And the simplest example, ask any person who smokes cigarettes, and he will tell you, I know it's bad for your health. I know cigarettes cause cancer, and I know cigarettes can kill you. But why do you smoke? I'm addicted. So what's here doesn't come down here. Because if here you understand that it can kill you, why don't you take a gun and shoot yourself? It's the exact same thing. This is a slower process. So what's in our mind doesn't always go into our body. We understand many, many things. This Amalek grabs me by my neck, and he doesn't let what's in my mind go down into my heart. And this is this klippah. This is Haman. Now, if you go back to the Megillah that we read 2 weeks ago, it starts by saying that there's a nation that is scattered all over the world. Am echad, one nation, mefuzar ben kol ha'amim. So now we are scattered. Now we're not only scattered physically, mainly we are scattered emotionally, spiritually. We hate each other. Everybody hates each other. This is why this second temple was destroyed, from Sinat Chinam, from hating another Jew. When the Megillah is talking about one nation that is scattered, mefuzar, meforad, and separated, is exactly what that's what we are. We're not united. If we would be united, Moshiach would be here on the spot. Now Haman wanted to kill us. Now when you think of it, how was he planning on doing it? And I said before that Haman is a klippah. Yeah, it manifests into a human being, but it's coming from a source of impurity. And we know that every generation there's a Haman. Every generation there's a Haman that comes to destroy us. He's a descendant of Amalek. That's why he was created, to come and destroy us. Sometimes we're lucky and it doesn't manifest into a body. But in most cases, in every generation, there's a physical Haman. 70 years ago, Hitler was a Haman. He came to destroy us. There's actually ways to track how he's a descendant of Haman. But he was Mizera Amalek, and he came to destroy us. 2 weeks from now, we're going to read in the Haggadah of Pesach, V'chol davador, kamim alenu lechalotenu. Every generation, somebody comes and wants to destroy us. We have a Haman right now in Iran. He's also saying that he wants to destroy us. He's not holding back. He's saying, I'm building nuclear bombs to wipe off Israel off the map. He's saying that. He said it maybe 150 times. So every generation there's a Haman that says, I'm going to come and destroy you. It's only the question if Hashem gives him permission or not. He's a puppet. He's waiting there. He's waiting to do his job. It's our control. So every generation there's a Haman. Now, how did Haman wanted to kill the Jews 2,000 years ago? He didn't have technology what Hitler and Shimo had. How would he do it? He wanted to kill Mordechai. Mordechai was the tzaddik of the generation, where the source of our power comes from the tzaddik of our generation. And amazingly, you see that how did Haman wanted to kill Mordechai? He wanted to hang him on a pole that is 50 amah high. You know what's 50 amah? That's like a 17-story building. Why can't you just hang him on a little pole? Why do you need 50 amah? So Haman was very, very smart. He knew he cannot kill millions of people. He didn't have armies. He didn't have concentration camps or trains. How would he kill them? How would he kill the entire nation? He says, I'm going to go from the back door. I'm going to kill their leader. Now, I'm not going to kill him physically. I'm going to take him to the 50th gate of impurity. He knew that in Mitzrayim, that in Egypt, we were sunk into 49 gates of impurity. That we know that if they would stay one more day and fall into the 50th gate of impurity, they can't leave Mitzrayim anymore. They're gone. Haman said, I'm going to take the leader of the generation and I'm going to hang him on the 50th gate of impurity. If I'm going to have possession, if I'm going to have control over their tzaddik, then they're all going to be my slaves. Why? We see how it started. How did the whole thing started? That all the Jews, they went to this feast and they started mingling and assimilating and partying. Half a year feast. Can you imagine half a year party? And for half a year they were mingling with each other. No, she's a nice girl. They were assimilating. So Haman had control, and he knew if he's going to control the top, then he's going to be able to control everybody. He doesn't need to kill their bodies. Hitler, Yimach Shemo, wanted to kill our bodies. Haman was a little bit smarter. He says, I don't need the bodies. I'm going to kill their souls. And the only way for me to control them is if I go to the head. Amazingly, every time that we read the Megillah and we say the name Haman, what do? Start going crazy. In some congregations, the minhag is only when you say Aman Ha'agagi. What's Hagagi? What's Hagagi? That's his last name? No. When the Zohar was talking about Milchemet Gigim, Milchemet Gog and Magog, this is what he's talking about. Haman Ha'agagi, the klipa that comes to penetrate into my brain and controls me. The exact same power of impurity that controlled them in Egypt 3,300 years ago, that convinced them that they're good where they are. It convinced them, you're good, you have a business, you have money, you have a house. Here, take a new car. That's what we have now. That's what Haman did then. This is the klipa. That's why he's called Aman Ha'agagi. Because he could not kill them with machine guns. He could control their mind. By controlling their mind, he puts them in a state of exile. They don't believe in God. They don't want to do Torah and mitzvahs. They assimilate. They kill their neshama. That's what Haman wanted. He wanted to kill our soul. He says, I don't need the body. Who cares about the body? Let me kill their souls. And every generation, this Haman comes to kill our soul. He doesn't care about the body. And you know how he kills it in our generation? The screens. You are magnets. You are glued to the screen. I don't need to tell you what the screen brings you to do. It takes you away from your source. So I was looking now to this direction. They know what I'm talking about, also in this direction. You know, I not too long ago, I gave a lecture somewhere, and the women were telling me, I don't have a problem with looking at the internet and seeing not modest women, and etc., etc. And my answer was very, very simple. How many hours you spend on Facebook every day? 2 hours? It's 2 hours that you can pray, and you have to pray. If somebody comes and tells you don't have to pray, there's no such a thing. A woman is obligated in praying. A man has to pray 3 times a day. A woman has to pray at least 1 time a day. Has to. A woman that doesn't pray at least once a day, she's not doing a commandment from the Torah. A woman has to pray at least once a day. And if Facebook took you away from your praying or learning or anything else, then you're also slave to the exact same thing. Now, it's not only the internet, it's anything that we are slave to. You know, if you're looking back, go back to the time machine, In Mitzrayim, in Egypt, they weren't necessarily carrying the bricks. They were just slaves to the materialistic, to the materialism. So we don't have to carry bricks in our time to be slaves. I don't have to be whipped by a guard to be called a slave. I am a slave. We are all slaves. You are a slave to your car. You wash it all day long. You're a slave to your job. You're a slave to everything, to your phone. I see people all day long with the phone. Every 2 seconds, they're like, if you think that you're like the president, you need, check your emails once a day. You're all slave to your phones all day long. It's like these machines on you. This is Milchemet Gog and Magog. This is the Milchemet Gigim, the war of thoughts that is penetrating into my mind, that you're sitting now in a lecture and you get all hyped up and all excited and all inspired, and you walk out of the door, comes Amalek, takes out all the air out of your sails. You don't have to wake up in the morning at 6. You can wake up at 11. Pray in a minyan. Do it on Shabbat. Where does it say in the Torah? So you come to a lecture, you get all hyped up and excited, and he's waiting next to the door. You really believe in it? It's nonsense. Keep it here. Don't bring it down here. Believe. I understand. But don't bring it into actions. So we don't have to be carrying bricks here on the street. Because we are slaves to everything that we in our generation. Mainly to the physicality. I'm not joking when I say that most people that I meet and I'm telling them about Israel, they're telling me, I would go there in a second. Okay, so it takes a second to order a ticket. Why aren't you going? Parnasa. You would think that everybody's millionaires in this country. You work hard to your money here too. Nothing's different. This country is the ultimate Mitzrayim. This country is the ultimate limitation that puts you in this bubble that you think that that everything is good here. It's not. You are just slaves in this klipa. And this klipa, this power of impurity, it's in our thoughts and it's controlling us. It numbs you. It puts you in this comfort zone. This is the klipa of Mitzrayim, of this kelev, that convinces you that where you are good. I will come and tell you, you're not praying 3 times in a minyan every day. You'll understand, I have to pray. And 30 seconds after you move away, the klipa will tell you, I know. Minyan. Don't listen to him. And it convinces you that you are right. I gave charity half a year ago. This klipa goes into our mind and it convinces you that you are tzaddik. It tells you, you are such an amazing Jew. Look how much mitzvot you're doing. You went to a Torah class, what was it, 3 months ago? You're good. You don't need to give all your money to tzedakah. Just give pamayim chai. 2 times chai, it's fine. I'm chas v'shalom not joking or making a joke of anyone. I'm just saying the point is that we are all slaves to this klipa, to this Haman that wants to kill us, and we are allowing it to slowly manifest into this world. And believe me, trust me, you do not want it to manifest into this world. Because if chas v'shalom the Geulah is not going to come nice, I don't want to even think how it's going to look. You just use your imagination. Trust me, you do not want the Geulah to come like that. The point is like this. Moshiach is coming any second. Now what's going to happen when Moshiach is going to come? If you're not on the train, then what? Our sages say, we don't accept Baal Tshuva anymore when Moshiach comes. That's it. You had enough time. I'm giving you all the signs you need. Do Tshuva. I'm not giving you more signs. When Moshiach comes, he says, I'm very sorry. I was late 2,000 years. You had 2,000 years to get your act together. The point is very, very simple. A, to understand, to believe, and to know that we are at the time of Yemot HaMashiach. We're already past Chevlei Mashiach. It's any second. More than that, you have to understand where you're holding right now. You are a slave. You are. Don't look at me with I see how you're raising your eyebrows. You are all slaves. You are all stuck in this klippah. I'm not saying it in a negative way or to chas v'shalom make fun of you. I'm coming and telling you the reality. We know, our sages say, that a prisoner cannot get himself out of his prison. En asur matir et atzmo. You can't get yourself out. So somebody has to come and tell you that. If you continue living your life thinking that you are fine because you're doing 2.5 mitzvot, then you're not fine. Because there's no, you either keep Torah and mitzvahs or you don't. There's no like, okay, I'll do 30% because it's easy. It doesn't work like that. I mean, if a person is becoming closer and he's growing and growing, that's a total different thing. But unfortunately, it's very popular to say, I'm doing 20% and I'm good for that, and that's how they live their life. Then it's 100% wrong. The point is to understand, and if you need to, look in the mirror every day in the morning and say, I'm a slave. How am I getting out of my slavery? How am I getting out of it? How am I bringing the redemption that it's going to come nice and soft, and I don't have to go through all this show? So in the same Megillah that it's coming and telling us the entire story that we need to understand and realize, we're not celebrating Purim so I can get treats from my friends or get drunk. This is not why we celebrate Purim. Purim is the time when the Geulah starts. It says that La'atid Lavo, at the time of Mashiach, the festivals are going to be canceled. We're not going to be celebrating the festivals, and Purim will be the only holiday we're still going to be celebrating. Now, it doesn't mean that the holidays will be canceled. Rather, their importance will be reduced, and the most important one is going to be Purim. Purim comes to teach us everything. And in the Megillah, if you just look at the name, Megillah is not necessarily the scroll, the Megillah. The Megillah comes from the word legalot, to reveal. And what is it coming to reveal? It's called Megillat Esther. Esther is something that is concealed. It's coming to reveal what is concealed. So you have to read between the lines. And the Megillah comes and tells you the secret, how I'm going to be part of the redemption and how I'm going to bring it. So the Megillah teaches us that we have to do on Purim 4 mitzvot. 4 mitzvot. And women are equal as men. Amazingly, all 4 of these mitzvot are all starting with the same letter, with the letter Mem. Now there are 2 types of Mems in the alphabet. There's what's called Mem Stuma, the Mem Sofit, the square one that comes at the end of the word. This Mem signifies the time of the Geulah, the ultimate state of completion. We see that the world was created with the letter Bet. When we read the Torah, it says, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim. Bet, if you look at it, it has a top, it has a bottom, and it has a side. But the left side is open. This is what's called Ruach Tzfonit, the northern part. That's where the Yetzer Hara comes in from this Ruach Tzfonit. The Yetzer Hara has 7 names. One of his names is called Tzafon. And later on, we read a few weeks ago that when Hashem gave us the Torah, He says, "V'asitim li mikdash v'shachanti betocham." You should build me a mikdash, a sanctuary, and I will dwell in them. Come all the mefarshim and they say betocham, plural. Betocham, it means in them. It should say betocho, in it. One temple, so it shouldn't be plural. So our sages say, no, betocha means in each and every one of you. You are the Mishkan. The Arizal explains it according to Kabbalah in a different way. He takes the word betocham and he breaks the letters. The first 3 letters he moves to the right, and it becomes betoch mem. This mem corresponds to the Geulah, to the ultimate, my Mishkan is sealed. The Yetzer Hara doesn't come in. This is this mem. So the 4 mitzvot that we do in Purim start with the letter mem. The first one is Mikra Megillah. I have to read the Megillah. I have to listen to the Megillah. Women also. This corresponds to Torah. This is the first thing, the first hint that the Megillah tells us. You want to be part of the Geulah? You want to be part of the redemption? You have to study Torah. Studying Torah is not watching a video on YouTube. Studying Torah is sitting in a yeshiva with a book. Watching a video on YouTube is very nice. I also put videos on YouTube. You see how many cameras we have here? YouTube is good. Learning Torah is from a book, not from a screen. Because the screen has the klipa in it. It shows you the nice video, and then you go to the next. So you see a very inspiring video on Facebook, and then you see the rest of the junk. So you're looking at a 20-minute video, you get all hyped up, and then you're looking at 2 hours of nonsense. So the videos online are good. I'm not saying they're bad, but that's not how you study Torah. Studying Torah is with a book. So when the Megillah tells us that you have to learn Torah, women also can learn. There's no prohibition. Women have to learn. They have to learn how to keep Shabbat. They have to learn laws of modesty, laws of Lashon Hara, how to teach their kids. You're not exempt. We have to learn Torah. And if a person learns less than 2 hours a day Torah, that's not Torah. 2 hours a day is just to warm the engines. And don't look at me like 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours. I told you before, make an account how many hours a day you're wasting on the screens. You'll get 5 hours. So take 2 of it to study Torah instead. Studying Torah is you go in the morning to a synagogue. After you pray Shacharit, you learn 1 hour of Torah, half an hour, whatever you can. And at night, you go to a kollel. There's enough where to learn. But you're not yoitzi with watching a video or putting a disc in the car. These are good. This is time to fill in the space. Because the way it works in the spiritual realm, if you're not putting into your vessel, into your kli, something holy, right away comes something unholy. That's how it works. So if my mind is constantly, I'm injecting it with holy things, that there's no room for unholy things. So when you drive, when you walk, when you do whatever you can, yeah, you make the CDs play and the videos on YouTube run. That's for the mind to be constantly occupied with inhaling or putting in me thoughts of Kedusha, of holiness. The second that I stop that, then come the junk in. But learning Torah is from a book. Why? Because you have to say it with your mouth. If you didn't say it with your mouth, it's like as if you didn't learn Torah. Even if you take a book and you're reading it with your eyes, this is not considered learning Torah. You have to say it with your mouth. We have to. So you have to learn Torah. The first hint is that you have to learn Torah. So you have to establish for yourself at least 2 hours a day that you take a book, you go to a class, you go to yeshiva, you go to kollel, you do whatever you need to do, and you learn in your level. The second mitzvah in Purim that starts with a mem is matanot le'evyonim. Matanot le'evyonim is charity, is giving money to a poor person. Person wants to be saved from the Chevlei Moshiach, wants to be part of the Geulah, has to do charity. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you give the $18 once a month to the shul. If you didn't do 5 acts of charity every day, don't go to sleep. And again, you're looking at me like as if I'm crazy. Charity is not only writing a check. Charity is giving a ride to your neighbor. Charity is babysitting your neighbor's kids when she needs to go and do something. Charity is your time, is your thought, is everything, your energy, your knowledge, your car, everything is charity. And if you don't use everything that Hashem gave you to charitable acts, you're wasting your time, don't go to sleep that day. You have to do charity. And there's no excuses. I know you're looking at me like as if I'm crazy. There's no excuses. You can do at least 5 good acts, charitable acts every day. Just be nice to your kids, you got one already. Be nice to your wife, you got another one. I don't have to give you ideas. The third mitzvah that we do starts with the same letter, Mem, is Mishloach Manot. Mishloach Manot is not the bags with all the candies. That's for the kids. Mishloach Manot is that I'm giving something that belongs to me to somebody else, and in exchange I'm getting something back. This is another form of charity, but this is a different type of charity. This is called Ahavat Israel, that I give somebody something of mine. This is what Kabbalah explains, that each and every one of us has a godly spark that is unique to us. That's why you would look at millions of people, billions of people, times that generations, you're not going to find one person that is identical to another one. Just look at the miracle. Look at our fingerprints. There's not two identical prints in the entire world. This is because it manifests from the spiritual realm, meaning that my godly spark is unique. Nobody has it. The ultimate Ahavat Israel, the ultimate is I give you mine, I share, you give me yours. This is Ahavat Israel. If I don't have Ahavat Israel, sorry to tell you, it's worthless. Ahavat Israel is unconditional love that I like another Jew because he's another Jew. I don't care how he wears his yarmulke, how he prays, he's Ashkenazi, he's Faradi, he's Breslev, he's Chabad. It doesn't matter. I like him because he's a Jew. Unconditionally. Doesn't matter who he is. And how he wears his peot, or how he moves. It's nonsense. The second temple was destroyed from Sinat Chinam. We're not going to have Moshiach till we correct it. I have to have Ahavat Israel. And the fourth thing that the Megillah teaches us that I have to do, it says Mishteh. The Seudah. Mishteh v'simcha. That's what it says. My entire service to Hashem has to be b'simcha. Happiness and joy. Even when it's hard and even when I'm suffering, put a smile on your face. And if you don't have the excitement and the happiness to serve Hashem, then our sages tell us, if do it Hashem b'simcha, you have to serve Hashem b'simcha from happiness. There's a reason why we do it in happiness, b'simcha. Now, if I take all these four elements, all of these four hints that the Megillah is telling me, that the Megillah comes to reveal something that is unrevealed, that is concealed, then I have the recipe for success. First of all, it allows and guarantees me to be part of the redemption. If Chas v'Shalom, the Geulah is coming in a not nice way, the only thing that will stand for you as a zchut, as a merit, is all these four things. David Amalek says, Ipol mitzidcha elef, urviva mi'iminecha, elecha lo yigash. 1,000 will fall on one side, 10,000 from the other side, nothing's going to happen to you. The Torah tells us, V'atem advekim b'Hashem Elokechem chaim kulchem hayom. The ones who are holding Hashem, no problems. So if Chas v'Shalom the Geulah is not going to come nice, then if I don't have all these four elements, doesn't guarantee that one will survive. Besides that if I want to bring the Geulah that's going to come in a very nice way, that's only if I do all of these four. I have to learn Torah. I have to give charity. Charity is not only checks, it's Gmilut Chasadim, is any charitable act. I have to have Ahavat Israel, unconditional love to another Jew. And I have to do it b'simcha. With all the problems that I'm facing right now, and everybody has problems, everybody's dealing with a problem right now. One person can't get married, the other person can't make money, the other person lost a child, the other person has a disease. Everybody has something. Hashem made sure that everybody has baggage. At least put a smile on your face and accept that it's coming from Hashem. This is the recipe to take you out of your Mitzrayim. This is the recipe to guarantee to you that you're going to be part of the redemption. If you're not part of all of this, it's exactly like putting the gear in neutral and pressing the gas all the way down. Besides a bunch of noise, nothing happens. You're standing in the same place. So what you need to take out from tonight is very, very simple. First of all, and most important, you have to understand, know, and believe Mashiach can come now. You can leave this door tonight, and that's it, and it's coming. How are you preparing yourself for that day? Are you going to go home now and watch another 2 hours of Facebook and nonsense, or are you going to go home now and learn 20 minutes, something? I'll open a book, I'll read something. Are you waking up tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock to pray with a minyan, or you're going to wake up at 11? The thing is that this klippah that is possessing us, even if you feel that you are very connected to Hashem, it's going to make you feel that you are and you're not. It's going to make sure it's taking you away from your focus. Now be real with yourself. How many times you wake up in the morning all excited because you went out of the night before, out of a lecture like this, and you wake up at 7 in the morning like, today's the day. Today, I'm going to pray today. And then you get an email. And then you get another email. And then you get an SMS. And then a phone call. And then before you know it's already 11. You're like, oh, 11. Oh, I said today's the day. And then you're about to do something. And every move that you're trying to do, before you know it, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, okay, 4 o'clock. I can't even put tefillin on anymore. I can't pray anymore. Okay, so how many times did this happen to you? Probably every day. Probably every day you want to do something, and then this clipper takes you away and tells you, no. Watch a 5-minute video here on Facebook, a very inspiring video, and then move on to your business. The point is that you have to recognize where you're holding. And if you live in denial, then you have a problem. So I came to tell you tonight that you live in denial. You're stuck in a klippa, in a bubble, that you think that everything's fine, that the world is okay, and next year I'm going to invest in a business, and the year after that I'll go to college, and 5 years then I'll build a new home. This is what you're concentrating on? Somebody emailed me not too long ago telling me that his friend somehow contacted Rabbi Kanievsky and asked him if he should invest in a business in the United States. Rabbi Kanievsky told him, not only you should not invest in a business in the United States, you should not invest in any business, and definitely not in the United States. If you're already investing in something, do it in Israel. United States? The answer he got was basically don't. This guy emails me and asks me what I think. And I told him, you got an answer from one of the greatest rabbis in our generations, and he told your friend not to do it. You're asking me? Why me? No, I just wanted to make sure it's a good answer. Yes, it is a good answer. If one of the leaders of our generation tells you not to do it, you listen. And I told him, in my opinion, is invest in a business. You have money, you pack a bag, you go to Israel, you park in a yeshiva, you throw your phone to the ocean, and you sit and learn Torah till Moshiach comes. Invest in a business? You are in denial. You are all in denial if your plans are college and business, and I'm going to invest here and buy this. I'm sorry to tell you, you are in denial. The reality is that when you wake up in the morning, you should be like, okay, what am I doing today? How many hours am I studying of Torah today? Let me call whoever I can. I can help them. You need help? You need a ride? I'll help you. What do you need to do? I'm here. That's not living in denial. Living the reality is that maybe it's coming today. I have to make sure that I'm ready. So you have to wake up from your dream. You have to wake up from the state of exile where you are stuck in and understand this is not a joke. This is not a fairy tale. This is not something that we've been hearing for 2,000 years. This is the reality. And if you live in some type of state of denial, I don't know what to tell you. That's why I came to wake you up. I already made Aliyah half a year ago. I live in Israel. I come here every few weeks to wake a few people up and run back home. The reality is, I'm sorry to tell you, and I'm repeating it over and over, but that's the only way to say it. You are living in some type of a dream, because if you're not 100% devoted now to serving Hashem, then you are stuck in this klipa, and you need to bang yourself on your head every day and understand that the Geulah is happening any second. Trust me, you do not want to get the message on your phone, He's here! Now what? You know, a lot of people ask me, why did you do Aliyah to Eretz Israel? Besides that, I don't trust this country at all. I don't want to stay here one more second than what I had to. Let's assume, Be'ezrat Hashem, the Geulah is coming in a very nice way. Why should I be stuck in this country on a waiting list to catch a plane to Israel? You know what a waiting list is going to be to fly to Israel? There's not enough planes in the world to take 6 million people to Israel. There's not enough runways. You ever saw the airport in Israel? It's some dinky airport. There's one runway. How all the planes are going to land? So it's going to take you half a year to come to Israel. In the meantime, we're going to be partying in Yerushalayim. I want to see the first sacrifice that Moshiach slaughters the Parah Adumah, the red heifer. I want to see it. I don't want to see it live. Streaming, I want to see it live. So I'm preparing already now the ground. Why should I run away? Why should I pack my bags the last minute? And if bemet it's going to happen that we're going to go on clouds, fine. So I'll take a ride on a cloud too. But I'm not taking chances. So yeah, I also was in the same state of mind. You know, the business is here and the kids have a lot of friends. So what? 70 years ago, 80% of our nation was murdered because they were stuck in the same denial. My family is a Holocaust survivors. My grandmother ran away from Germany, from the heart of the fire, the night before Kristallnacht, the night before it erupted. You know, I'm going to share with you something personal. When she came to my wedding that took place here in New York 12 years ago, she looked around and she told me, take whatever you need from this place and, excuse my language, get the hell out of here. That's what she told me 12 years ago. And she told me, you know why? Because what I see now is what I saw in Berlin in 1932, 1933, 1934. That's what she told me then. And she told me, oh, but you don't think people came to warn us? All the time people came and told us, listen, this guy's a nut. He's crazy. No, everything's fine. Look at us here. We can walk in the street with a talis. I have mezuzahs on the door. Nobody's bothering me. I can do whatever I want. Look at us. We're millionaires. We have everything. They were stuck in this state of denial, and people came and told them, guys, this is a real nutcase. He's not joking. And 90% stayed behind. Very few people packed their bags and they left. My grandmother was 17. She wasn't a 3-year-old that doesn't remember everything. She was 17. She told me, I remember in the beginning everything was good, and we were millionaires, and we had everything, and we had 3 maids, and we had this and we had that, and then it started with little things. We weren't allowed to play with the German kids. Then in the ballet class, it had to be one group is the Jews, one group is the non-Jews. Then in school, we had to sit on one side. And every couple months, a new thing came. And everybody was in this denial. And they were lucky enough to live the night before to run away. And the rest of the 80% were stuck behind. And history repeats itself. Just look at history and you see that every generation we have a Haman, we have a Holocaust, we have something coming to quench us. And you know who brings it on ourselves? Us. We do it. We arouse this power on ourselves. That's how the spiritual world works. Whatever I am going through, whatever I'm experiencing, I'm bringing on myself. Don't think that Hashem, people say, oh, God is punishing me. God is not punishing you. You are doing some type of an action and you're bringing on yourself a reaction. Bang your head at the wall, guarantee you're going to have a headache. Can you blame the wall? Is the wall punishing you? No. You banged the head at the wall. So you have a headache. Same thing in this world. I do an action, I right away get a reaction. I desecrate Shabbat, boom, I get a stira to my face, a slap to my face. Don't come to the master of the universe and complain. I steal here, I'll get a reaction. I cheat in business, I'll get a reaction. I lie, I cheat, everything. I arouse a spiritual energy on myself pending on my actions. That's how it is. God does not punish me. Our sages say there is no punishment without a sin. The punishment is a reaction. Hashem stands on the side and says, I didn't do anything. You did it. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Don't look here. Don't say that. I gave you a manual. I created the world. Here's a manual. Read the manual. The manual tells you what to do. The manual tells you don't bang your head at the wall. So the manual tells you don't eat these animals. The manual, I'm talking about the Torah. Torah comes from the word in Hebrew, hora'ah, to teach. Hashem gave us a manual. It says, here, read it. If you didn't read it, then how you're not going to be able to function in this world. So Hashem gave us a manual and tells you that's how you have to function here. So the reality is that I bring on myself this energy. So what's going on right now in the world, we bring it on ourselves. Everything that's happening in this world is because I hate everybody around me. I don't follow Torah and mitzvahs. I don't do from the 4 things that I told you. And if I don't do it, don't cry to anyone. It's your fault. So the thing is that we have the option and the ability to bringing on ourselves the Geulah to come in a nice way. Right now we're not doing so great. The point is very, very simple. Is to recap very few things. A, Moshiach is coming any second. If you need more sources, I'll give you more sources. But I think I gave you enough to understand that now it's the time of the Geulah. The next thing that you need to understand, like I told you, you're living in denial. You're living in some type of bubble. You have to wake up. And I know what's going to happen. You're going to go to, now you agree with me, at least some of you. You're going to go home tonight, and it's going to get stuck here, and the klipa is going to stop you right over here, like I said before, from it going down into your body to actually do actions. And the proof to that is going to be who's waking up tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning to go and pray in a minyan. If you didn't wake up tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning to pray with a minyan, he got you. That's it. Very simple. If you wake up tomorrow in the morning to pray with a minyan, you know that you did the first act to break the first klipa. You can call me tomorrow or email me and tell me if you won or he won. Very simple. Same with you. I'm looking here, but it's same thing. You don't have to wake up to a minyan, but you have to wake up and you have to find time to pray. You put yourself some type of a wrath, what you need to do, and if you're failing, you can just understand that you're still sunk into these powers of impurity. Now, I'm not saying it easy. I know how it is. I was once on the other side too. I wasn't born like this. I know the struggles. I know everything that comes with it. But I'm one of the many that is a living proof that it can be done. I'm human like you. I'm not different from you. There's no difference between me or anyone else. I have to eat kosher, you have to eat kosher, exactly the same. I have to keep Shabbat, you have to keep Shabbat. So don't look at me and say, oh, you, for you it's easy. No, it's not easy. I'm no different from you. I grew up the most secular, the most not religious. Half of you probably already heard my story. And if you didn't, then go and listen to it. So I know the struggles. I know what it means to move from one side to the other. But it's possible. This is proof. I'm not special. I'm not different. And I'm not the only one. There's thousands. Thousands that move from here to here. There's no 40% religious. There's no such a thing. There's no 60% observant. It's an invention. There's either shomer Torah and mitzvot or not. If you're in the middle, if you're climbing, that's a different state. If you're stuck there for 20 years, you have a problem. The reality is that it's coming very, very soon, and what am I doing to make sure that I'm part of the Geulah, and what am I doing to make sure that it's coming faster, and what am I doing to make it come soft and nice? Because if chas v'shalom not, trust me, you don't want to be here. And really the only thing that's going to stand for us as a merit is my Torah, is my gmilut chasadim, my charitable acts, my ahavat Israel, and me being besimcha. If I don't have all this, I'm going to be vulnerable. You know, at the time when they left Mitzrayim, they had to put the blood on the doorsteps, and the mashchit that came down, the angel that came down to create havoc, saw the blood and passed over. We don't have any guarantee that it's happening now, that it's going to be a Passover. We already had 3,000 years ago a Passover. The only way that you're going to be saved from the time of the redemption and be part of the Geulah, you have to understand that it's a great, huge merit to see the Geulah happening. Not everybody is going to be part of it. You know what it is to stand and see the Bet HaMikdash flying, landing from Shamayim? It's not a joke. If our sages say that's how it's happening, that's how it's happening. What the Jews saw 3,300 years ago in the Tziat Mitzrayim, when they left Mitzrayim, is nothing compared to what we are about to see. I'm not willing to miss the show. And with my acts, I control everything. That's all it takes. And the thing is that you have to understand that each and every one of you might be the one that tilts the whole world. One person. It could be that tomorrow, if you wake up and pray with a minyan, you bring Moshiach. And if you don't look tomorrow at the wrong places, Moshiach, don't take me personally, I'm just putting my hand. You're going to be the one who brings Moshiach. And tomorrow you don't lie or gossip, you're going to be the one who brings Moshiach. If you wake up in the morning and say, I'm the one, I might be the one, I am important, then I have this power. And that's how it is. Rambam says very clearly. The whole world is tilting. And one act will tilt the whole world to kavzchut, to a meritable side. Maybe I'm the one. If I have to lie all day long, if I'm a liar, and today instead of lying 100 times, I lie 99 times, I lost 99 times, but I won once. Maybe that time that I close my mouth, that's going to be the mitzvah that's going to convince the heavenly court, yalla, send him. Each and every one of us is a valuable player. Don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, you know, I'm not going to be the one who's going to bring the Geulah. Dafka you. Not the ones that are sitting in yeshiva right now. Hashem has nachat from them. Hashem has 1,000 times more nachat from you when you wake up to go to pray in a minyan. Or you decide to close the screen the second that it needs to be closed. You don't understand that the nachat that Hashem is getting is dafka from us. Not from the big rabbis and the tzaddikim. No, they're used to it. You have to start internalizing in your mind that this is not a fairy tale. It's real. It's going to be a real man that comes and takes us out of the state of exile. This is not a dream. This is a reality. And if you don't believe it and you don't live it, you're still stuck in that exile. You're stuck in this bubble. You have to recognize the powers that are controlling you. Because you're all slaves. And I'm not saying it to chas v'shalom hurt anybody's feeling. But you're all slaves. You are slaves to your thoughts. This is the Milchemet Gog and Magog. Don't let it come down into a physical war, but our thoughts. You control your thoughts, that's how you win the war. It's not about how many mitzvot you do. It's what's going on in your mind. The mitzvot are just as important, but it's more what's going on in your mind. Hate, and jealousy, and anger, and animosity, and holding grudge, and all these things that are in my mind constantly, that's the main war. And the war is controlling I'm controlled, our minds are programmed and controlled. And don't look at me like I'm crazy. That's the reality. And until you realize that that's the reality, you're still stuck in there. You're stuck in Mitzrayim. So to sum it up, Moshiach is coming any moment. Start getting ready. This is not a joke. Incorporate the 4 things that I told you, learning Torah, charitable acts, Ahavat Israel, unconditional love to another Jew, doesn't matter how he dresses, or what he says or thinks. You don't have to love his acts. You have to love his neshama. And if a person is in exile and he's behaving in a very negative way, don't hate him. You can hate his acts. And you can prove him wrong, but his neshama you have to love with no conditions. I'm telling you that if you overpower this problem of this sinat chinam, that in itself, you won the entire war. We have the options, we have the ability to bring the Geulah like that. Just like that. But it depends on us. We have to do it. And when I wake up in the morning and I really don't feel like waking up in the morning to go and pray Naminan, no. Understand, put a sign on the wall. You have to wake up. It's important. If it would be to go to sign the deal where you're getting the $50,000 check, you would wake up at 4 in the morning. If it's the day that you're getting the Mercedes, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're already ready. What's the difference? Here you're getting $50 billion worth of mitzvot, and here you're getting some nothing. So it's all in your mind. You have to use all the tools that Hashem gave us. The only way to really win this war is only Torah. If you don't have 2 hours of Torah in your brain every day, you don't have koach to fight it. It's too strong. You can't fight it face to face. It's too hard. It's like putting yourself in a ring with Mike Tyson. 1 punch and you're on the floor. That's you trying to fight your Yetzer Hara. No, don't try even. You have to come from the back door. David Amalek says, "Im gvar tamim titamam." If a person is in your level, a person is using the word tamim. Tamim means innocent. Tamim is also a person that is in your level. Im gvar tamim titamam. Somebody is in your level, then you deal with him the same way. But im ikesh titpatal. Somebody who's stubborn, you go in all the tricky ways. So you cannot handle your Yetzer Hara face to face. He's going to rip you to pieces in a minute. You have to come from the back door. You have to be tricky. And you inject into your soul every day Torah. That's the only way to fight it. You all know what I'm talking about. I don't need to say it. The only way to fight it is only Torah. Torah is the tool to give me all that I need. Yeah, sometimes it's very boring laws. If I say it with my mouth, I become united with God. My sechel, my intellect, gets united with the sechel, with the intellect of Hashem. So I'm not making these things up. This is facts. It's written in all the holy books. You learn Torah. While you learn Torah, I'm not talking about watching the screen. Screen, I told you, there's a klippah in the screen. Screen, you let it play while you work or while you do whatever. Torah is in a book. You have to say it with your mouth. And when you're injecting this Torah into your brain, into your neshama, that's where you have the power to fight your thoughts. Same with you. It's the same thing. Women, it's much easier. They don't have to do so much. Women are already created in a much higher level. A woman can achieve what a man does the entire day with 3 times a day of praying and tefillin and talit and Torah and all the things that a man do. A woman does it with one thing, with one mitzvah. She covers the whole thing. All she is to be is be modest. That's it. With her modesty is not only the dress and the long sleeves. Pure thoughts. That's also modesty. Pure mouth. Modesty is not only the dress. Women have it much, much easier. Women have to light candles on Shabbat. With one mitzvah, she can grab thousands of mitzvot. The power of lighting a candle. That's it. Striking a match. But it's not only the striking of the match, it's the state of mind that she is when she's striking the match. And it's not in the 18 minutes. Okay? It's before the 18 minutes. Don't say, oh, I have 18 minutes. No, you accept the Shabbat before. It says, Ner mitzvah Torah or, the power of the candle. It's the power of the entire Torah. So the point is that you want to fight your Yetzer Hara face to face, you can't do it. You're not strong enough. You have to come in all the tricky ways. You have to come with all the tools. The Torah comes and tells you, these are the tools. But it all depends on us, and there's no time to be spoiled. A lot of people tell me, okay, no, now I have to finish my studies. I have to finish a semester, and after I finish the semester, what do you mean finish the semester? If Moshiach comes tomorrow, you're not going to finish your semester, trust me. And even with finishing the semester, you can still learn Torah. If you're already in the middle of the semester, there's no excuses. Excuses are the klippah that convinces you that what you're doing is fine, and in half a year, I'll go to yeshiva. Half a year? What do you mean half a year? Just look at history, see how history repeats itself, and just go 72 years back now in history, and imagine a young person, 1938, in Germany saying, when I finish my semester, if that's how extreme you have to go, then go to that extreme. That not too long ago, I'm not mentioning now everything that happened in our entire history. Every generation there's a Holocaust. But just go in what we can relate with. Just go into their mind, go in the time machine, into their mind, and try to think how they were thinking. Imagine you can now interview one of them and saying, what would you do a month before? Would you invest into another business? He would tell you, I would sell everything that I had and I would just run away from here. I wish somebody would come and warn me. Or I wish I had the courage or the nerve or the knowledge to do it. So now you have it. Not that I'm predicting negative things. I'm praying 24 hours a day that it's not going to be negative. But chas v'shalom, it can come very negative. Don't live in denial. Bemet, trust me, don't live in denial. This is not a time to live in some type of a dream that, oh yeah, but everything, America is a safe place. America is not a safe place to start with. It's not a safe place at all. Any way you're going to look at it. And even if you're not looking at it in the physical level that is not a safe place, which it is, even in the spiritual level, it's not a safe place. And a lot of people come and contradict, oh no, look how many Balei Tshuva there are, and look how many yeshivot, and look how many Shirei Torah. The Yetzer Hara is a master of deception. He's a master of distorting the reality. And coming and telling you, look, how many religious Jews are here. Look how many made Tshuva here. Good, that's very good. But look how many from these religious people who made Tshuva, or didn't make Tshuva, or was born religious, how many of them are not living exactly how the Torah is telling us? Don't even tell you stories that I'm hearing. Why? Because the klippah here is so strong, it makes you think that you are serving God good. He tells you, yeah, go to shul, go to the class. Here, eat this kosher food right now. But go watch that video for just 30 minutes. It's okay. It's okay to do this and that. Here, do these mitzvot. He makes you feel like you're very religious. Then it comes in your mind and look what she said. How dare she say this and that? Did you see how he behaves? The reality is you have to look in the mirror every day, at least 50 times a day, and convince yourself what's the reality. You have to talk to yourself. Don't think that you're crazy. You have to talk to yourself 50 times a day and say, what's going on? Where am I holding? Where am I holding in my life? Did I learn enough Torah? Did I do mitzvot today? How many times did I not lie today? How many times did I not curse today? How many times did I not look today at the wrong place? There's no time to waste. I can now stand here at least another 5 hours and go on and on. I see that you're all falling asleep already. Babette, I'm telling you, there's no time to waste. Every moment now is valuable. And don't look at me like I'm crazy, or don't go home and say, okay, no, another guy. No. I'm not coming to scare you. I'm coming to warn you. I'm coming to educate you. You choose not to believe, so, but I'm telling you, choose to believe. You have to change completely the programming that's in your mind. Because you're in Mitzrayim right now. In 2 weeks, we're out. We're going to read the Haggadah, but it's not a ceremony. You have to tap into it. I'm just going to tell you one more thing that you can have some type of an idea what's about to happen in the next 2 weeks. And maybe you can hop on the train. It says, Kabbalah explains that there are 3 types of godly revelations. The lowest level of godly revelation comes from the sphira that is called Bina. The Kabbalistic terminology is called Ima. This affects the level of our neshama. See? A higher level of godly revelation comes from the sphera of Chokhmah. Kabbalah calls it Abba, and it affects the level of our neshama that is called Chaya. There are 5 levels in our neshama. The highest level is called Yechidah. Comes from the word Yichud, unity, not Yachid. Unity means that our soul is a piece of Hashem, Chelek Eloka. This is the level of Yechidah. Then comes a lower level called Chaya. Chaya is what's called the Tselem. It's like an Or Makif, a surrounding light, like an aura. Then comes the Neshama, then Ruach, then Nefesh. These are the 5 levels of our Neshama. So the first godly revelation affects our Neshama. The second one affects our Chaya. The highest level of godly revelation comes from the Sphira that is called Keter, and it affects our Yechidah. This godly revelation happens once a year. The other one, the first one, that comes from the Sphira of Bina, comes every Shabbat. Every Shabbat, if you tap into it, you can see this. You can't, but one can see that godly revelation. On every festival, Sukkot, Shavuot, and all the holidays, the godly revelation is coming from Chokhmah. It affects our Chaya. Once a year, there's a godly revelation, comes from the Sphira of Keter and affects our Yechidah, and that's Leil Seder. That's the night of Leil Seder. All you need to do is eat the matzot and do the ceremony. Just sit around the table. You're channeled. The Rabbi from Kamarna comes and explains that for each one of this godly revelation, it affects one type of love that we have in our neshama, in our soul. The lowest level of this revelation affects our neshama. That godly revelation comes on Shabbat, and it affects the love that is called Ahavat Torah, the love for the Torah. Amazingly, you would see that a person can be not even religious at all, doesn't observe anything, but on Shabbat he has some type of an arousement for Torah. You see it, Bechlal, for people who are a little bit more observant, Dafka on Shabbat, they have this excitement to learn Torah. They enjoy the shiur Torah in the shul. They enjoy the drasha that the rabbi is talking about. Why? Because there's some type of an enlightenment that they feel, and you have this closeness and an arousement for love for the Torah. The second type of godly revelation comes on Rosh Chodesh, comes on all the festivals. This affects our chaya. So the Rabbi from Kamarna explains that arouses a love that is called Ahavat Hashem, loving Hashem. So you see that on festivals, on Rosh Chodesh, a person gets all aroused and he's like, that's it. This is the time. I'm doing it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you get all excited, loving Hashem. And the third type of godly revelation arouses a love that is called Ahavat Israel. The most forgettable love. The love that most people don't really feel. But this is the love that really allows us to go out of exile. The first exile from the first destruction of the Beit HaMikdash was because of 3 sins: idol worship, forbidden relations, and bloodshed. Since the sins were revealed, then the length of the exile was revealed. When they left Jerusalem, there was a prophecy that they're going to be in exile for 70 years. The second destruction of the Holy Temple was because of one sin, sinat chinam. Since the sin is not revealed, because I can smile at you all day long, and inside I hate you. Since the sin was not revealed, then the length of the exile is not revealed. And we are in exile up until today because of this sin. If we would correct this sin, right away we're out. The correction is Ahavat Chinam, Ahavat Israel. So to get aroused, to arouse this love of Ahavat Israel, it's not an easy thing. The reality is that if you look deep down inside yourself, you hate everything that is around you, that doesn't fit what you think. Somebody thinks different from you, you hate him right away. Somebody looks different, prays different, dresses different, right away there's a hate. That's why we're in exile. Once a year we have this godly revelation that arouses that love of Ahavat Israel. And it's happening in 2 weeks on Leil Seder. All you need to do is observe the holiday and participate in the Leil Seder. You get tapped in to this godly revelation that affects your Yechidah, the highest level in our soul, and arouses this love. To love every Jew unconditionally, and that should sustain you for the rest of the year. One night. There's such a high godly revelation that night that we see that it manifests even into the laws that we obey. You see that according to Halakha, we don't say Kriyat Shema that night even. We leave the doors open. We're in a total different level. Leil Shimurim. And you know how you prepare for that day? You clean. You take a shmata and you clean. But you don't have to clean the dust. You have to clean from chametz. And if you clean for chametz for a whole month, you go crazy. The morning of Pesach, you burn your chametz, and then you're ready. So the cleaning is good for the dust, but the real cleaning is your own chametz, my own ego. Chametz represents yeshut, ego, me. What's chametz? A bread. You know, you take a little piece of dough, and whoop, it becomes big. It rises. This is our ego. You take something this small, and becomes something. And the opposite of chametz is matzah. Flat. Doesn't matter what you're going to do, it's not going to rise. It's flat. What stops me from doing anything in this world is one thing, my ego. If you diminish your ego, you're going to be the biggest tzaddik ever. Look at Moshe Rabbeinu, the most humble man in history. He was able to receive the Torah, give us the Torah. He reached the highest level of prophecy that nobody will ever reach his level. Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be a greater prophet than Mashiach. Nobody will ever go higher in the level of prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu would speak face to face to God. All the prophets got their prophecy while they were sleeping. And how did he reach it? Because he made himself this big. He was the most humble man in history. He was nothing. That's why he was able to reach to those levels. And what stops me from becoming a real Eved Hashem, real close to Hashem, is my own ego. That's it. If you need to take something out of tonight, is this: diminish your ego. The more that you don't have an ego, the more you are a vessel to start receiving. If I'm not a vessel to receive because I have some type of a metziut, some type of an existence, a yeshut, I'm not going to receive anything. Hashem says, I cannot dwell in a place that is not completely batel to me, that is totally annulled to me. This is this holiday. It's not about cleaning the bookshelves. Cleaning the chametz is cleaning my own dirt from inside of me every day, to look inside myself and say, which crumb of chametz I'm cleaning today? And the chametz that inside of me is my hate to another person. My jealousy to another person. Why are you jealous of somebody? You know how bad jealousy is? Jealousy, most interpret it as lotin af. Jealousy is more like lo tachmod, don't like something that doesn't belong to you. They say it's the worst commandment from all the 10 commandments. Some Mefarshim says it's lotin af. Why do you want something that doesn't belong to you? So what if he has a better car? He says, chametz, it's my own ego. Why I don't have what he has? That's ego. Hate and anger and all these things, this is my chametz. If I don't do a mitzvah, I do a sin, that's a total different thing. I have to clean my own chametz. And once a year I have the opportunity of doing it, on working on myself, refining myself, so I can come to this special day and be a vessel to accept this godly light that's going to come that night only one time, and I hop on the train and have the power for the rest of the year. The Arizal gives a promise that a person who's particular the entire 7 days about chametz, about not finding chametz, muvtach lo, he's guaranteed that the entire year he's not going to sin. That's how powerful his decree is. Muvtach lo, guaranteed. 1 week you have to be fanatic, that's it. You have power for the rest of the year. Such a godly revelation. And in this auspicious time, the only thing that can reverse our situation is only avat chinam. If you have to work on something, the most is my unconditional love to another Jew. Which, if you're looking at it, it all manifests to the same thing that I told you, learning Torah, charitable acts, everything. It's all the same thing. That's the way to bring the Geulah. That's the way to be part of the redemption, and I have the merit to see it. That's what's going to give me the power to go out of my klippah, out of this comfort zone, that this klippah is controlling me. It's putting me in my comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. I know it's not comfortable to wake up at 6 in the morning. I know it's not comfortable. And it's not comfortable to give up all your little pleasures. But that's the only way to do it. And unfortunately, it says in the Gemara that if the generation is worthy, like I said before, the Geulah is going to come in a very nice way. But if chas v'shalom, the generation is not worthy, ma'amid ani alehem melech, I'm going to put on them a king, shegzerotav kashot mishel Haman, that his decrees are harder than Haman. So right now we're already in the state that this klippah of Haman is controlling us. We cannot allow it that it will manifest into a real Haman. Because that's the only way that somebody wakes up. Unfortunately, we always wake up in history when we are pushed to a wall. If Chas v'Shalom this time we're going to be pushed to a wall, I don't want to even say. So you have to take it all serious. You have to take everything that you heard tonight. We're going to make sure the video goes online in the next couple of days that you can put it in your car and listen to it 60 times a day. So you can start internalizing that the time is ticking. What am I doing? What am I doing? I have to do something. This is a state of emergency. This country and the chlal, the lie of the world, is covering the reality. You don't see the reality right now. Because if you are not fanatic in your avodat Hashem, you don't see the reality. Because if you would see chas v'shalom a gun to your head, you would do anything that needs to be done. And unfortunately, you know where you see the people who wake up? In the hospital. When chas v'shalom something happens, pitom everybody becomes Baba Sali. So the point is not to get to this point. Is to internalize in my limited space up here that now is the time. We don't see it right now with our eyes, but it's now the time, and I better get my act together. There's no time now. And I might not have enough time to jump from here to here, so at least reduce every day. I have to lie all the time, so today you lied 100 times, tomorrow 99 times, the next day 98 times. Today I failed 50 times and looking in the wrong place, tomorrow I'm going to look 40 times at the wrong place. 40 times I'm going to fail, one time I'm going to close my eyes. Every step that you do is just bringing your own personal redemption and the entire redemption. When I'm looking to that direction, it's not that I'm not making you part of it. It's the same thing. The mechitza is only for the acts and the behavior is the exact same thing. Each gender fights with a different yetzer hara. Doesn't matter. The point is that you have to leave this door tonight with a serious change in your mind. If you left this door tonight and you didn't take anything from here, I'm sorry to tell you, you are back in your exile, in your Mitzrayim. You are back controlled by this Haman that's controlling your thoughts in the war that we're going. Milchemet Gigim, the war of thoughts. It's all in your hands. And Be'emet, there's no time. I think I gave you enough information to make sure that you're walking out of this door tonight with enough what to do. And with each and every one of your little acts that you do, Bezrat Hashem, we're going to merit that the Geulah is going to come, and this year we're going to do Korban Pesach. Amen. We're going to do it in Bet HaMikdash, in Eretz Israel. I have a flight in 1 week. You can join me if you want. You can go there before me even.
You live in Israel?
Bezrat Hashem. Listen, don't keep sleeping. I'm not joking. I came to wake you up. You are all sleeping. You got to wake up. You got to wake up. Either way you're looking at it, doesn't matter how you're looking at it. You have to wake up. You're all sleeping. So Bezrat Hashem, tonight when you're going to leave this door, you're going to put your alarm clock, spiritually and physically. And tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, we're going to already daven Arvit now in a minyan. And when you go home, you're going to say Kriyat Shema Lamita. And when you wake up in the morning, you say Birkot HaShachar, and you go to pray in a minyan, and you do whatever you need to do. And you find the 2 hours tomorrow to learn Torah. You find it. You look for it. You can't do tomorrow 2 hours? Okay, I'll give you a discount the first week. Do 1 hour. Learning Torah is from a book. You make yourself a list. What do I need to do? I'm not joking. Take papers and you make a list. Okay, I have to do this. I have to do this. You have to work organized. It's the only way to do it. You don't know how to do it? You find yourself a rabbi that teaches you. It gives you a, if a person wants to lose weight, he goes to a dietitian. The dietitian tells him, okay, for breakfast, don't eat this, eat this. For lunch, eat this. In the evening, you have to do exercise. So this, you got to go to a spiritual dietitian that tells you, okay, Shachris is at 7, Mincha is at 5, Ma'ariv is at 8, Torah class is at 6. He gives you the recipe, what you need to do. The Torah tells you, Aseh lecha rav, make yourself a rabbi. That tells you what to do. You have to work with the system. Bezrat Hashem, Hashem should give you great success in all your paths. Everything that you want and dream for should be fulfilled. It should happen b'chesed v'rachamim, and we should merit to see the Geula coming right now with all of you together. We should celebrate Pesach in Eretz Israel. And Bezrat Hashem, it should happen speedy in our time. Thank you very much. Don't go back to sleep tonight. Take everything that you can from here and go full force. Yes, you wanted to ask a question.
Yes, I saw your videos when you someone else time, and you said that you saw past, and you saw the future, and you saw the number of kids you're going to have, and your wife. Did you see Moshiach? Did you see, when the Geula would happen?
Okay, did everybody hear the question? I'll repeat the question. She's asked if in my own personal near-death experience that I had, that I tell in my lectures, if I saw the Geula. I say it in all the videos that I did. I just didn't want to connect tonight to my own personal experience. If you want to connect it to my personal experience, that I saw the Geula. And I always say that I saw myself with a black beard, and the beard is starting to become white. So we're very, very close. And I also saw how the Geula can come in two ways. They showed me how the Geula can come in a very nice way, and they showed me how the Geula can come in a destruction that you can't even imagine. Our mind cannot fathom how chas v'shalom it can happen.
So which way is it going to come?
It depends on us. They showed me both options.
But does everybody have to make it in a nice way? Like there are people that are still in the dark, and they're still fighting and making excuses why they're not observing this, that, or the other thing.
The thing is that first of all, Kol Yisrael arevim zeh bazeh. We are guarantors to each other. So if I'm already religious, it's not enough for me to say, I'm good. And I have to go now out of my way to make sure that everyone that doesn't know will know. So I do what this lady did. You see what she did? She took a lot of CDs. And now she's going to give these CDs to people. And you schlep somebody with you to a Torah class. And you tell your neighbor, it's Shabbat today. You want to come for a meal? So yeah, you have to go completely out of your comfort zone to make sure that everybody knows. Now the thing is like this, we don't need the entire nation. If we would count on the fact that we need the entire nations, we will never have the Geula. The Zohar says all we need is what's called a knishta chada, one strong group. So all we need is one strong group. It will have enough power to bring everybody, to have the merit for everybody. But we don't know how strong this group is. Right now, we have a pretty strong group when you're looking at the world. But we obviously need a few more. But we don't need the entire nation of the Jews. It's almost impossible at this stage. That's what Mashiach is going to do. This is going to be the final part that Mashiach makes everybody. But the point is that, if I'm walking in the street and I see a house on fire, I don't just look like this and, okay, let it burn down. And I don't go and scream, hello, is anybody there? I run in and I grab whoever's out. So now is the time of fire. And if I see another Jew that I see that he's in a burning house, I have an obligation to come and tell him, hello. Now I know it's embarrassing. I know it's not easy, but...
It's not just that, it's just sometimes they look at you, oh, you're a fanatic, and they tell you that
doesn't matter.
Excuses. And so how do you do it in such a way that they don't say, she's too religious?
Listen, this is not an easy answer because every person reacts completely different. To reach to other people is an art. It's not easy. But you should definitely not be impressed or affected by the fact that somebody comes and tells you you're a fanatic. You have to do it in a persistent way. You have to do it with a lot of love. It's not easy. A lot of people, they do it in a crazy way, and all it does is it pushes people away. There's a way to do it. And if you don't know how to physically approach somebody, so you help somebody that does it. And if you don't have the tools or the knowledge to come and talk to somebody, then you come, like I said before, from the back door. And most people, they don't have the skills to go to somebody and start talking to them. So they partner with somebody that does it. They take CDs and they give it out. Just take the CD. I'm not fanatic. Here, take the CD. People donate for the CDs. Why do you think we have printing thousands of CDs every month? Why? Because generous people come, they donate money, and say, I can't talk to people? Here, I'll support a CD that talks to somebody. I'll make a Shabbat table and I'll invite guests there. Doesn't matter. There's so many ways. I can't give you a straight answer because each individual person is completely different. One person needs to be banged on their head. They're only going to wake up when you're going to tell them there's going to be nuclear bombs. One person needs, to be soft. Each person is completely different. The point is, in order to bring the Geulah, we don't need the entire nation. We need a very strong group. And yes, don't worry if somebody tells you you're fanatic. Do it in a nice way. The thing is like this. If you're doing it from the depth of your heart, it's not going to be interpreted as fanatic. And even if they tell you, it's just their Yetzer Hara telling them that you are fanatic because it's not comfortable for them to do what you say right now. But you know what? Zoreh tzedakot matzmiach yeshua. That's what David Amalek says. You plant the seeds, and there's a concept that is called en ta'amula she'ena chozeret rikam. There's no such a thing that you did an effort and nothing came out of it. You can talk to a person, they're going to look at you like you're completely crazy, they're going to tell you're a fanatic, you're going to get all fall down in your spirit, they're going to go home and the wheels are going to work in their mind. You don't know what you're doing with your words. So they might tell you you're fanatic. That's their wall, their firewall. They're going to go home and in their mind. You know what? I'll tell you one story and then I'm going to get to you. Maybe 2 years ago, I gave a lecture here in Queens on Main Street. In the end of the lecture, some person from the crowd, he came and told me, look, talk to these guys, and they're really making a joke out of their religion. Anyways, we sat down, maybe 8 guys, and we're talking about Torah, and they're making a joke out of me, and they're laughing. And then one of them tells me, tell me, is it really true that a man is not allowed to spill his semen and not to look at all sorts of, impure places, etc., etc.? And I told him, yeah, it's true. So he tells me, is it really true that, and everything that he asked, I told him, let me tell you exactly what happens. When a man spills his semen, the same way that there are millions of semens in one act, there are millions of nefashot that he brings down to the world. He creates demons. I told him the whole thing. They were laughing at me. They were really mocking me. Okay, I don't care. Half a year later, I'm walking in the street. This guy approaches me with a little beard and a yarmulke, and he tells me, you remember me? I told him, no. He told me, you ruined my life. I told him, me? He's like, half a year ago, remember me in that shul? I told him, oh yeah, I remember you. He's like, every time that I was with my girlfriend, I saw your ugly face in front of me. I said, good, so I actually saved your life. The reality was that it was in his subconscious. Yeah, that night he made fun of me. I could easily go home and fall into despair and say, I wasted my time, and now this group of people made a joke out of me. No, I knew that I'm planting a seed, and the reality was that every time that he was about to commit this horrible sin, the subconscious, the engine started working. So you don't know what you do with your words. You can say a word to somebody every Shabbat to your neighbor, Shabbat Shalom. They're going to laugh at you. Every Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. You're planting a seed. There's no such a thing that there's no success to your efforts. And even if there's zero success in your efforts, you still get your reward for your effort, for trying. But there's no such a thing that there's no success. You do an act, en ta'amula she'ena chozeret rikam. You don't know, you say something, you don't know what they carry with them. Yeah, they'll tell you you're fanatic and you're crazy and leave me alone. But you just put an opposition to this klipa in their thoughts. That's the point. And you have to do it very, 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 very smart, with a lot of love. But you have to do it. It's emergency. Where's the guy? He wanted to ask something. Yeah.
You said before that the Exile is going to let you think, because the Klippa is going to let you think that he's going to let you do a couple of mitzvot. This way you think you are religious Jew. But how do you know when you're actually doing things and you're trying to go in your Avodat Hashem, or maybe it's just the Klippa telling you, no, do a little thing, but really not gaining anything?
It's very, very simple. Everybody heard the question? No? I'll repeat it in a different way. He's basically saying that I said before that the Klippa will make you believe that you are observing the Torah and mitzvot. It's going to make you think that you're such a tzaddik, and then it's going to make you do here mitzvot and then make you sin over here. He's asking, how do you know that when you grow, that it's not actually the Klippa telling you to grow in that department, so later on it can make you fail? First of all, even if it is, who cares? You're still growing. That's first of all. The second of all is it's very, very simple. The Baal Shem Tov explains that there are two chambers in Shamayim. Chambers of purity and chambers of impurity. Hechalot Tumah, Hechalot Kedusha. Anything that comes down to your thoughts that is pure, that you know it came from the chamber of purity. Anything that is impure, you know that it comes from a chamber of impurity. Like a person sitting in the hospital and there's IV. Whatever you put in the bag will go into the vein. So right now, you walk in the street and you see a person on the floor and you have a thought, oh, let me help them. Maybe I can help this person. You know that this thought came of a chamber of purity. But if you walk in the street and you see a half-naked girl and your thought is telling you something and you know where that thought came from. Sorry, I'm giving you this example, but it's anything. You know where the thought came from. So anything that comes into your system and you make an analysis, you know exactly where it came from. And you know when it came from a pure place and where it came from a completely impure place, or where it came from an impure place dressed in a pure garment. You just make a quick analogy. So if you see that the Yetzer Hara is being very nice to you, and you hear you growing, but at the same time, he's in a very subtle way, coming in between the lines, you can make an analogy. Exactly where it's coming from. Now, not always it's easy. That's why I said before, you make yourself a rabbi. You appoint yourself a rabbi. Because a rabbi looks at you, he knows you, he sees you every day when you come to shul, and when you don't come, he calls you, and he puts guilt. Why didn't you come? You missed the minyan. There was a class yesterday, and you come, he looks at your face, and he says, what's wrong on today? Why your face is... You need a personal trainer. Personal trainer, you want to now be, number one in the world in anything in sports, you need a trainer to train you. You want to be a servant to God, you need a personal trainer, a rabbi that tells you what to do. He looks at you. He knows what's going on in you. He knows how you growing. If you come to the shul, you don't come to shul, you come to pray, you don't come to pray, you attend the classes. He sees how you behave. And he can come and tell you, something's going on. I can see this week, you didn't show up a lot. He can analyze you because you can't look in yourself. It's very hard to do a self-observation. Because Hashem put the eyes here, they look out. So you just look around you. But to look in you is very, very hard.
So how are you supposed to do cheshbon nefesh?
You do cheshbon nefesh. That's a whole different thing. But I'm saying that sometimes your behavior, when somebody's looking from the outside, he's able to give you a much more clear account. Because when you do cheshbon nefesh and you're not 100% true to yourself, then the cheshbon nefesh, to do real cheshbon nefesh is a very high madriga. To sit and to be critical on yourself, most people, they don't do that. Most people, they give themselves a discount. Yeah, here I had a Yetzer Hara. Oh, here, To do real cheshbon nefesh, that you are 100% honest, it's a very high madriga. Because most people, they do not tell themselves how bad they are. They would say, oh, I'm bad 20%, 80%. No, it wasn't my fault. He did it. So, yes, you have to do cheshbon nefesh, and you have to be able to reach to that level. But you also need a personal trainer. You need your rabbi that looks at you and guides you and tells you, and you can come and share with him on a daily basis thoughts. This is what I was thinking. Today happened this. Today happened that. How do I deal with this? You can't do it over the phone or over emails or once a week. It doesn't work like that. You know, somebody sent me not too long ago a video of Mike Tyson, how he's working out. It's like a boot camp. 6 hours a day, he's going crazy. Imagine he wouldn't have a personal trainer. Then he would do 5 push-ups and says, okay, now I'm going to have a cup of coffee. You need somebody to make you a personal trainer, to tell you, you're not good here, you're not good there, you have to do this, you have to do that. If a person doesn't have a rabbi, I don't know how one can grow in the levels of Torah. You can't. You at some point you reach a certain point, and your Yetzer Hara will overpower you. So then, when you have, I'm saying a rabbi, but for a woman, so she has a rebbetzin, a madricha, whatever. It doesn't matter. The terminology doesn't matter. It's a person that inspires you. That you look at that person, and you just look at the person, and you're like, wow, that's an Eved Hashem. You just look at that person. You don't have to ask too many questions. I look at my rabbi, I'm like hypnotized. He cannot talk to me for a whole month. He just looks at me. He's like, okay, this and this is wrong. Why aren't you doing this and that? How do you know? Because I know you. So that's how you really know where it's coming from. But you can make a very simple analysis and see where it's coming from. If you see that the growth is positive and it takes you to the place where the Torah instructs you, then you know this is a healthy growth. If you see in between, I'll give you one example. That this Yetzer Hara will come and tell you, go to Facebook. You know how many videos are on there? This rabbi's channel, that rabbi's channel. Oh, you can be hours on Facebook and watch videos. You know that this is a Yetzer Hara that tells you, go to Facebook, learn Torah there. And then he doesn't say anything else. You know why? Because he knows that on the side, there's ads. And every third or fourth ad is a not modest woman. And when you go down on the thing, how does it called? Timeline, you look for the next video, in between, he throws to you some stupid video, some nonsense. And you want to look at it because it has 5 million views and 50 million likes. And it has a real interesting thumbnail. And then you see something stupid. So you know, okay, that's a Yetzer Hara that's telling me, go learn Torah on Facebook. And he wants you there. He wants you in the domain where he can control you. If the Yetzer Hara tells you, go to a class, a physical class, you know, oh, sorry, I said if the Yetzer Hara. If your thought is telling you, go to the physical class, you know, oh, that's a real pure thought. It's almost like, somebody not too long ago, a young man who's becoming very chozer b'tshuva. So he emailed me, I want to do a birthday party, and I want to invite all my friends, but it's going to be a great kiruv opportunity because I'm going to tell them Torah and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And then he was asking me all sorts of different questions, and then he says, like, on the way, do I have to make a separation between the boys and the girls, or it's fine that everybody's mingled? So I said, no, why would you want to have a party in your home or whatever that the boys and the girls are together? So his Yetzer Hara is telling him to tell me, no, but it's a great opportunity to inspire everybody, and I'm going to say Advar Torah, and I'm going to give them kosher food, and I'm going to tell them, who are you kidding? Well, the Yetzer Hara is telling you that you're going to give them kosher food and give them Advar Torah, and in the meantime they can mingle. So you're going to get from here 10 mitzvot, and from here 100 averot. So what did you do here? So you can kind of analyze how the Yetzer Hara is leading you. And if he's leading you to a place that our sages say, Ezu hachacham haroeh et hanolad. Who is the real wise person? That sees what's going to come out of it. You make a quick analysis in your mind, what's going to be the result? If the result is going to be positive, it's coming from a pure place. If the result is going to be negative, and you have to be 100% true to yourself, then you know exactly where it's coming from. It's very simple. It's all about the result. And if the result is going to be chas v'shalom, a sin, or chilul Hashem, or something bad, you know that this is the Yetzer Hara wrapping the present and saying to you, it's all kosher. Verstehst?
You said earlier that you have to read out loud. So if I'm like reading a midrash or something, does that not count as learning unless I'm reading it out loud?
You have to say with the words.
You have just reading a midrash?
You have to say with the words.
You read it by yourself? If you're reading by yourself, read out loud for yourself.
So?
I'm saying like you have to do it like that, otherwise it doesn't count.
Yeah.
It's considered like zero, like you didn't do anything, I'm saying? Or?
There's certain things, for a living example. If you learn a halacha and you didn't understand it, you just read it and your mind was thinking about something else, you wasted your time. It's zero limud Torah. That's.
What if you read in the book, in your mind, midrash, you learned something?
The thing is like this. The question is, what are you asking? What is the sachar that you get?
I can't keep up hours of learning, reading things out loud. I can keep up hours of learning, sitting and reading a midrash.
Why? What's the difference? First of all, I'll tell you already that when you read with your voice, you understand it better because you actually connect with what you read. When you read with your eyes, I'll tell you what I mean. Your neshama has two aspects to it. An external part of the neshama and an internal part of the neshama. When you do certain things that you do with your mind, it arouses what's called the internal part of your neshama. When you do things with your mouth and your action, it affects the external part of your neshama. Now, if you read with your eyes, you're affecting the internal part of your neshama, which it's good, but the whole point, the reason why we learn Torah, and especially when you say it out loud, because the Torah is Hashem's wisdom. And when you say it out loud and you understand it, you become united with God's wisdom. So when you're just reading it with your eyes, so your intellect is connected, but you want your body, your nefesh, to be part of it. Now if you're saying it with your mouth, it means that you're moving pieces of your body, you're penetrating, you're making the Torah penetrate into your body. So your body becomes pure, not only the neshama. You want to lezakech et haguf, to purify your body. And you do it when you actually talk, when you bring it on yourself. Why do you think, most of the mitzvot that we do are physical? Why? Why the whole point with praying? Why do I need to 3 times a day stand, Let me sit in some place with a waterfall and meditate how great Hashem is. But, no. Hashem says you need to pray. You pray in a synagogue and you put a piece of leather on your hand and a box on your head. And why? Because you have to penetrate it into the world, into the physicality. There's much more depth into why you do it, but the short version of the answer is you have to say it with your mouth. Veshinantam bam, vedibarta bam, dibarta. Everything is, you have to do it with your body. If you're looking at the reward, if you're asking me what's the volume of the reward with doing it with your eyes and your mouth, it has nothing to do with it. The schar of the limud Torah, one of the main reasons why we learn Torah, when the neshama goes to Gan Eden, you know what the souls do in Gan Eden? It says in the Gemara that the souls of the tzaddikim are sitting in Gan Eden, ve'atrotehem berashehem, they're wearing crowns, ve'nehenim miziv hashchina, and they have pleasure from the glory of the Shechina, the divine, the feminine part of the divine. Do you understand what it means? No. Our physical mind will never understand what it means. The same way that if I want to explain to you something very deep, and you can't understand what I'm talking about, then I'll give you a parable. And I'll give you like an example. You don't understand that, I'll give you another parable, another mashal. You don't understand that, I'll give you another mashal. It says that Shlomo HaMelech was so wise that in order for him to explain his wisdom, he used to give 3,000 parables till you would understand what he's thinking. The Torah is called Mashal HaKadmoni, the parable about Hashem. For a soul to understand what it means, Elokut, godliness, it needs some type of a parable. because he will never understand. The Torah is the parable. When you learn Torah, you unite your neshama with the wisdom of God, and when your neshama will come to Gan Eden and it will look at this godly revelation, it's going to have the information, the parable, it's going to understand. That's why our sages say, Ashrei mi sheba lepo v'talmudo biyado. Happy is the one who will come here, and he has Torah. And a lot of neshamot will come to Gan Eden, they don't have Torah. So they're not going to understand this godly revelation. In order to understand this godly revelation, you need, and the neshama needs to be prepared for that. You need to learn a little Torah. Now, when you don't do it, when you do it with your eyes, first of all, if you're looking at it in the spiritual level, you know, it doesn't penetrate to your mind and to your body like you said it with words. That's why we have to also pray out loud. Because when you talk, you actually, the voice arouses your neshama. It penetrates into your body. So whether it's good or not, listen, if it's whether to read with your eyes or not, and not to read at all, then read with your eyes. But you want to do it the right way and put it to the test, read out loud and explain it to yourself. Go once to a yeshiva and see what's going on there. Noise, everybody's talking. Why? One would say, I can't even concentrate here. Because when you talk, you make it alive, you bring it out.
What about Shmoneh?
Shmoneh, you have to say it whispering.
I thought you just...
No, you have to still say it. You have to say it soft enough that a person who's standing next to you is not going to hear. But you have to actually say the words. Pray, bechlal, you can't do in your mind. Kriyat Shema and Birkat Hamazon, if you did with your eyes, it's like it's as if you didn't do nothing. You have to say it and not... That's not praying.
To many prayers.
Yeah, but Kriyat Shema is mamash a chiyuv. Birkat Hamazon is a chiyuv. If you say, for example, you say Birkat Hamazon, sometimes I see people... That's not praying. That's like as if they didn't do it. You have to say it. You have to say it loud. And the louder you say it, then you first of all, it arouses your dots. More than that, it actually penetrates in your body. The whole point of the Torah is that you want it to penetrate your body. And if you do it just in your mind, that it's penetrating in a very internal level. You want it to be penetrating in the physical level. And if you're looking at it, the halakha in it, if you didn't say it out loud, it's like as if you didn't say anything. I know it might be annoying, so instead of doing 6 hours with eyes reading, do 4 hours with mouth reading.
What about lectures and shiur Torah? Let's say you don't say anything, but you're going, you're listening. Why does that count, whereas reading?
It's still limud Torah, but it's not the same level.
I'm saying if I go to a lecture, let's say I go to a shiur every day for an hour, right? But I don't actually say anything. I hear a shah from a rabbi.
You still get the schar of limud Torah, the reward. You still participate, but the highest level of limud Torah is when you sit with a book and you learn yourself. No doubt.
By yourself, meaning?
Doesn't mean by yourself. By yourself, I mean that you actually open the book and you read.
With the effort.
Yes, sitting in a shiur, if you want to look at it in levels, the lowest level is looking at a screen. You still learn Torah, you still understand, you will still apply it, etc., etc. But if you want to put an hierarchy in the levels, then I would say that learning from a screen is the lowest level. And then it will grow in the levels, and the highest level is that you sit in a bet midrash, in an actual yeshiva, not at home, with a book, and you say the words and you internalize it. I can teach you now over a screen a daf Gemara, a page of Gemara, and explain to you all the sugiyot and everything. You can't compare it when you sit and you break your brain to understand the sugiyah. It's not the same level.
What's the difference where you do it?
Excuse me?
What's the difference where you do it?
Because a bet midrash, a yeshiva, has kedusha in it. You get soaked. And at home there's disturbance. At home the phone is going to ring, the email is going to ding ding, something's going to pass, noise. You want to win the Yetzer Hara, you take the Yetzer Hara with you to the synagogue, in the Bet Midrash. There's Kedusha there, there's holiness there. You don't understand something, you turn around to the student yesterday, you ask. There were times that I travel a lot, so sometimes, I don't always get to sit in a Bet Midrash. I study on the plane, on the train, wherever. I don't have an option. I'm here now 10 days, every day I'm on a flight. I don't have the luxury of sitting in my yeshiva. I have to learn on the plane. I have to learn on standing. I'm standing in line to the passport control. I'm sitting and learning. It is learning. It's not the same. It's not the same. You don't dive into it. So in these times, then I'll do basic things. I'll read my daily Tehillim, basic things. But to learn something, you need to sit, in a yeshiva, in a Bet Midrash. You're in the zone. When I go to the synagogue or to the yeshiva, no phone, no nothing. I see people, I don't even know how they learn when the phone is on the table. Every 2 minutes, bzz, 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 it drives me crazy. No, it's on silent. Who cares if it's on silent? It's still doing bzz, bzz, bzz. How can you learn? So you put the phone at home for 5 or 2 or 3 hours, doesn't matter. The Yetzer Hara is the master of deceiving it, and he will tell you, learn here, learn there. Why? Because he knows your learning is not going to be 100%. Try it once. I only learn the real learning when it's in a yeshiva or a synagogue and there's no disturbance, there's no windows. I don't know if you saw, most of the yeshivas don't have really windows. Because if there are windows, you're going to look outside. And you're going to be constantly, distracted. You want to really learn Torah? Trust me, it's better to do 1 hour of intense learning than 10 hours with all the distractions around you. Because what really penetrates is nothing. And this is what I said before with the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara will tell you, it's okay, watch 3 hours of videos on YouTube. Because, if you really make an analysis once, you'll see that when you're watching a video, you took 20% out of it. Sit in a class in front of a rabbi, you probably took already 50% out of it. Sit with the book and toil, break your brain to understand, and you repeat the sentence 10 times because it didn't fit, you took 100% out of it. Guarantee. Guarantee. I'm not saying chas v'shalom, the other ways are bad. You take advantage of whatever you can, but it's better to do 1 hour of intense learning with a book in yeshiva than 5 hours in many other ways. And you'll see, put it to the test, you'll see what you take out. You sat now here for 3 hours. If you would now read what I just told you, and you had to go to back up a few times to read it again to really understand it, if now I would ask anyone here from the crowd to repeat what I said tonight, maybe one will remember 20% of what I said. They remember the idea. Right? I don't think anyone can go now out of the door and say, oh, he said, and that's in any class. I didn't give a class, I just gave some information. Read it out from a book, you have 10 times greater chances that whatever you read is actually stuck in the database. Why? Because you said it. And the voice, the fact that you made the body participate, why did most of the mitzvot we do with our body? Because our neshama is pure. We say it every morning, Elokai neshama shenatata bi Torah. Torah. It's 100% pure. I don't need to fix my neshama. People think that they came down to the world to fix their neshama. There's nothing wrong with my neshama. My neshama is perfect. What I came to do in this world is fix my nefesh and my body. And the place in the world. So in order for me to do it, I have to make them participate. I need to move my body into the synagogue. That's why you see that the reward for the souls is in Gan Eden. That's when the souls get the reward. Hold on. And the reward for the body is going to be at the time of the resurrection of the dead. Why? Why are we going to be resurrected? Why are we going to get bodies? Because the body needs to get a reward. Because the body put the tefillin on. And the body talked. The Torah, the mouth, the lips. If you don't include your body in the mitzvahs, what are you doing? It's almost like me saying, why should I tie this leather strap on my hand for a whole hour? Let me meditate now how great Hashem is. I can meditate in my mind for 5 hours. All the kavanot, what the Arizal explains about tefillin, but if I don't put the tefillin on me, nothing. Very few individuals in our history were like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that they were able to do the mitzvot in their mind. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai sat in the cave for 13 years. He didn't have an etrog. He didn't have tefillin. He didn't have tzitzit. He was such a high level, he was able to do the mitzvot in his mind. What's called yichudim elyonim. Avram Avinu was able to do it. Yaakov. We need to do it physically. That's why when we got the Torah, God came down on the mountain, and Moshe went up on the mountain. The Elyonim yardu latachtonim, the supreme went down to the below, and the tachtonim, alu la'elyonim, the below went up. So there was a connection between the spiritual and the physical. That's why 90% of our mitzvot are physical, because I have to make the physical participate. And if I don't do it, then I'm, putting the gear in neutral and putting the gas all the way out. So I have to include my body. And one of the ways of including my body is when I actually pronounce it with my mouth. And limud Torah, I'm not saying it chas v'shalom to hurt anyone or to say to people that what they're doing is wrong. But the real thing is yeshiva. When people come and tell me, I tell them, do 1 hour in yeshiva instead of 5 hours on the screen. You don't get from it anything. It's guaranteed. Ask anyone. A lot of people see all day long videos. I have people, they tell me, I'm 10 hours a day, I'm watching videos. It's great. What do you remember from that? Do you remember something? Did it penetrate your brain? The real Torah is not the nice stories. This is good to get all excited and aroused, and it's all good. The real Torah is opening the book and learning the laws and understanding the wisdom of Hashem behind it, even though I don't understand anything. Because the halacha told me to do this. The whole point, what the Torah wants to bring you to a level that you annul yourself. How many people do you hear? Every day I hear the people, oh, that's an opinion. Today I heard somebody talking, there was an argument. The guy says, it's an opinion. I said, an opinion? The Torah is not an opinion. What do you mean it's an opinion? And you see, this is coming from the complete opposite of holiness, that his ego doesn't want him to agree that this is a decree from the Torah. So he comes and says, it's an opinion. I don't have to follow it. This is the ultimate ego that says, it's not comfortable for me, so I don't agree with it. The Torah comes and tells you, you are zero, you're nothing. Hashem didn't consult with us when he wrote the Torah. He told us, this is the Torah, accept it. So the Torah, the real Torah, is when you really become what's called batel. You completely annul yourself to the wisdom of Hashem and you accept it. And the test to see here is how much a person is willing to accept what the Torah tells him. Now I know people that they come with conditions. This I'll do, this I'm not 100% sure, this I don't believe, then you don't follow the Torah. You follow the Torah when it's comfortable to you, and you follow the Torah when it's not comfortable to you. And that's the test. And a lot of people, that's why I said before, the Yetzer Hara puts you in a place that you think that you are so religious. But when it comes to a certain thing, your Yetzer Hara gives you already a discount. No, that's okay. Where does it say it in the Torah? Oh, it doesn't say in the Torah. Oh, it's an opinion. It's okay, you can do it. I heard one rabbi saying that it's fine. Then you see that all the Torah that the Yetzer Hara hyped up, it's to bring you to a point to tell you, you're so smart, you learn so much Torah, you don't have to follow everything. The Torah comes to make you a nothing. And the more nothing you make of yourself, the greater you'll grow in the Torah. And the only way to do it is learning Torah from a book. For thousands of years, 300 years ago, they didn't have YouTube. They had one book. You know how they used to do? They used to sit 10 people around the book. They know how to read upside down, the letters upside down, because there was one book and 12 students. But for centuries, the way they learned Torah had never changed. In a Bet Midrash, with a book. Take now any online course, any video, anything. There's no such a thing that a video or an online course can teach you how to learn Gemara. You cannot do it. That's why if you search now online, you're not going to find one course that really teaches you how to learn Gemara. Not teaches you the Agadah, or the sugiyah. That's a total different thing. I can also teach you something, but I cannot teach you through a screen how to learn it yourself. You can be master in Aramit. I know Goyim, that they know Aramit better than me. They don't know nothing in the Gemara. It's not about the language. You have to know what's hidden in between. And you cannot get that from a screen. You need to sit, and you have to figure it out with your own brain. And when somebody feeds you, it's like feeding a baby. So he just eats and eats and eats. He doesn't know how to eat by himself. Screens and videos and all this, it's good, but it's like baby food. The real food is when your own mind is kvetching and you don't understand. And you get up and you sit down and you get up and you go and you don't understand. It's easy when somebody comes and tells you, oh, this is the halakha. I'm talking about simple things right now. I'm not talking about deep concepts and Kabbalah. So the point is that you drag yourself into the yeshiva with a book. You say it out loud. You do it the old-fashioned way. You know, the Torah didn't change for 3,000 years. Our generation, they're trying to change everything. No, learn it the old school, the old way. And again, I'm not saying videos and CDs are bad. They're not bad, but better to do 1 hour in a yeshiva than 3 hours in front of a screen. And you say it out loud, and you participate, and you bring that energy into you. Just reading with your eyes, it's almost like saying, I'm going to go to a party and live music, and I'm just going to sit like this, and in my eyes, I'm going to, No, you're in a party, let me dance. My whole body, I want to dance. I didn't see anyone goes to a party and he goes like that. So it's kind of the same thing. Learn Torah without the excitement. Go to yeshiva, you see people banging on the table and screaming and moving their kippah and you make it part of you. You inject it into your body. To leave it in the level of your sechel, of your intellect, and the internal part of your soul is nice. You have to bring it down to maseh, to action. That's why you say it out loud. Ken, b'kasha.
I want to move to another subject. The question is, how dangerous is America for us as Jews?
How
dangerous is America for us? And how soon should we pack and move to civilization?
Did everybody hear the question? The answer is very short. You move right away, and America is not a safe place to the Jews anymore.
Convince your family to.
There's a specific time that you were?
If there's a specific time, I moved to Israel half a year ago.
I know you did, I heard, but I'm saying there's a specific time that Rabbi's talking about, 10 years, 5 years?
Rabbis don't talk because most rabbis are afraid to say the truth. That's the problem in our generation. Rabbis are afraid to say the truth as it is, so they sugarcoat it. And they make things sound nice.
But there's some people are willing to accept the truth.
Okay, so
Why can't you just find a rabbi like that?
So look for one. There are a few rabbis in our generation that are willing to tell you the truth in your face. And they're willing to tell you exactly your situation.
Can we be able to find a rabbi?
You have to look for one. The reality is like this. If you're looking at it in a physical level, I'm answering also you. If you're looking at it in a physical level, analyze this country, what's going on. Move out the Torah for 1 second. Even physically, I wouldn't want to stay here for a second. I'm taking the Torah out.
Certain situations, it's not possible.
There's no such a thing that it's not possible, because 70 years ago for the Jews that refused to run away from Germany and they said it's not possible, it wasn't possible. Yeah, I know people that with their bag, don't go too far. My family, I said before, my grandmother, there are multimillionaires in Berlin, multimillionaires. My grandmother, don't go too far. Mansion, servants, the whole thing. They ran the night before Crystal Nacht. You know what they ran with 2 bags. My great-grandfather, you know what he took with him? His talit and a cup of kiddush that he got from his great-grandfather, and I got it now. A Kiddush cup from 1851. Can you imagine? A 170-year-old Kiddush. That's what he grabbed. That was in his mind. His talit and his Kiddush cup. There wasn't PayPal and money to transfer money and take the diamonds. They ran for their life. And their neighbors next to them, I can't do it. How did you say? What was the term that you used? It's not possible. It's not such a thing as not possible. It's value. If you see value in something, you make it happen. If you don't see value in something, you'll never make it happen. And if your mind is, I don't know if you were listening tonight, if your mind is in a comfort zone, that it's not possible, then you are stuck in this bubble, in this klipa that tells you it's not possible.
It's not only up to you sometimes.
Listen, first of all, I don't have all the answers. Second of all, I don't believe that there's excuses, because if somebody now would come and tell you, listen, in 2 days we're about to bomb the city, you would tell them it's not possible? You would run for your life. I'll give you a different example. You know, they're saying about this planet that is hovering over Earth. Is it true? Is it not true? I don't work for NASA. But the technology shows that it's true. I'm not talking about it. I'm taking the Torah out of the picture right now. You know, people say, so why aren't they saying it? You know what's going to happen in this country or in the world if now governments are going to come and say, listen, we're sorry to tell you, but there's 3,000 miles from here, there's a planet 3 times the size of our planet. And this can happen. You know what's going to happen here? People are going to kill each other. Havoc, complete anarchy, destruction. They can't allow it to happen. But what if somebody would now come and tell you, listen, I have an inside information, and it is coming in 2 weeks. Would you say it's possible, it's not possible, I don't believe, I do believe?
A lot of new yeshivot are building here. It confuses a person
Still big rocks,
when you
still
see
live
that
there.
yeshivot are building, kollels are building, and people are asking, if it's so dangerous, how come these rabbis who are building these yeshivas and kollels are not going themselves?
Because also 70 years ago, the big rabbis were not warning in the Holocaust that something's going to happen. The fact that a person has a big beard and he's a rabbi doesn't mean that he has the
So about Rabbi Kanievsky, who's the big rabbi.
Rabbi Kanievsky is the most one who says to run away from America, if you already mentioned his name. He's the most one that constantly says, don't go to America, The big ones in Israel, they all say everything against America.
I mentioned another rabbi's name, but it depends which rabbi you ask for. Like some rabbis said, if you have possibility that you think that you stay here, and you have ability to learn Torah more, then go into Israel, because living in Israel is actually very hard to live there. Because to be in Israel, you have to, how you say, even if you have the wealth.
I understand. The thing is,
It'll take you a while for your kids and everything else.
I understand everything that you're saying. The reality is that there's a very good option that everything's going to be good. There is this option. There's an option that the Geulah is going to come easy and smooth and everything's going to be nice. But there's also a very strong possibility that not. Now, the thing is like this. Some rabbis who say everything's fine, they're missing, you're not reading the fine print. The fine print is that if you are 100% devoted to serving Hashem, you have a greater chance to survive if something happens. Now look in the mirror and say to yourself, am I really 100% or I'm 90%? Because if I'm 100% serving Hashem, then ואתם הדבקים בהשם אלוקיכם.
100%. If you come to think of it.
Excuse me?
None of us are serving 100%, I would say.
Exactly. Very few people in our generation in this country you can point at them and say, okay, if chas v'shalom something happens, they have enough Torah and mitzvot and gemilut chasadim to be for them a merit. But what if not? Ultimately, we don't know how things are going to happen. The reality is that if you're looking at if you want to, put all the cards on the table, physically, spiritually, any ways you're going to look at it, this is not a good place here.
I know, there's just certain things, of course. Our heart is always with Israel. It's just
No, the heart is not good. Heart doesn't help you. The Jews before the Holocaust, their heart was also with Israel, but their bank account was in the Germany, so it was hard for them to leave. Now again, I'm not telling you. Listen, I'm not coming and preaching that there's going to be a Holocaust here and doomsday and stars falling here. I don't know. I pray that the Geulah is going to come with the clouds and everything's going to be good and the Jews are going to do tshuva and going to love each other and fight their Yetzer Hara, and the Geulah can come in a very nice way. But also you have to be a little bit realistic and you have to be like, okay, what if it's not? 12 years ago, when I got married, my wife told me, let's do Aliyah. So at the time I told her, let's say, she's American, I'm Israeli. I told her, let's stay for 1 year. Let me do a green card. So if I want to come back here, it will be easy to come back. And then we had a child, and then another child, and etc. And before we know it, so at some point we really wanted to do Aliyah. And I went to my rabbi, and I told him I want to do Aliyah. And he told me, don't go. I told him, why? He's like, because you every day, you're teaching, you're doing lectures, you're waking everybody up. It's not nice. You have a job here. And if you're sitting all day long doing business and nonsense, pack your bags and go. But you all day long are involved in lectures and teaching and acts of kindness, and you are waking people up, then you have to stay here. So every year I would come to him and tell him, no, what's the situation? He would tell me, no, you have what to do here. 50% of my efforts when I would go to my lectures would be to make sure that people understand that there's a master to the universe and they have to do tshuva. 50% of my efforts on the other side was to push people to Israel. And Baruch Hashem, I had the merit to send thousands of families to Israel. And every year I would come back to my rabbi and tell him, I want to go back to Eretz Israel. He would tell me it's not the time. And last year he told me, now's the time. Physically, it took us months till we packed this, papers.
Can we ask your rabbi?
You can go to my rabbi. He'll tell you to go to Israel yesterday.
But he didn't
but he didn't tell you, but
That's what I said before. If you are here 100% devoted to serving Hashem, and you are devoted to Klal Israel, and your entire life to save another Jew and another Jew and another Jew, and very few people can say on themselves that they're actually doing it, it's a total different thing. The reality, again, if you need some type of an answer, we don't know how things are going to evolve. We just don't know. The reality is that there's more odds that something not good is going to happen. And then I don't want to be here. Trust me.
In which level are we at right now?
Nobody knows. We don't know. We don't know we don't know nothing. And anyone who comes to tell you a date or
I'm saying in which level? When we came out from Mitzrayim from Egypt, we almost went to the 50th level. So we knew at that time.
Are you asking in which gate of impurity are we in? I would easily say that we're also back into the 49th gate of impurity.
Really? You're not serving the idols.
The thing is, I really don't know. Nobody ultimate knows. I can tell you that the level of impurity in our generation is bad. 95% of the men, I don't want to even tell you where they are. Same with women. The slavery to the physicality, it's not normal. People are, this is something you see a little bit different. America is the ultimate sheker, the ultimate lie of this physicality. People think that they have a good life here. They don't. So if you have a newer car, so what? What do you pay? $300, $400 for the lease. So you drive a nice car. Azma. This is the Yetzer Hara putting you into a comfort zone and telling you, look how nice it's here. The Yetzer Hara is a master of wrapping a present with shiny, sprinkly, bows and wraps, and inside it's empty. And the present that Hashem gives you are wrapped with paper. But the inside is the real thing. So the reality, Bemet, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Be'ezrat Hashem, could be.
Lifestyle here became so expensive.
I'm not a big advocate of this country. You're not going to get anything positive out of me about this country.
Probably it's less expensive even in Israel to raise the children.
Yeah. And it's not about money. It's not everything about money. If a person believes that the money comes from Hashem, 100% believes, not thinks. When you have 100% Emunah, the parnasa comes from Hashem, the parnasa comes in New York, it will come in Yerushalayim. Kadosh Baruch Hu zan mefarnes lakol. The parnasa doesn't come from your degree, it doesn't come from your business, it doesn't come from anywhere. It comes from the bracha of the Kadosh Baruch Hu.
How do you get somebody to internalize it, though, without, wrecking your shalom bayis? Like, if I'm trying to convince my husband, come on, we need to leave.
So you should have brought him to the lecture.
That's exactly what I'm saying for my wife. It's the same thing.
The
Everybody's here, and I wanted to go, and my parents are willing as well. But my wife is she's not ready. Her whole siblings are here. So how would I?
I know, that's exactly, you probably missed the beginning of the lecture. This is exactly what was at the time of Mitzrayim, that the slaves would get to the border, and the kelev, the dog, this klipa would convince them to go back. People are slaves here, they're trapped in this klipa.
So how do you fight this?
How? It's not easy. First, you bring them to my lecture. And if you can't bring them to the lecture, you take the video, and you play it at night when they sleep. So it will go into the subconscious.
That's not a problem.
Listen, unfortunately, there's no hocus pocus. There are ways, what a person can do is pray and scream. The reality is that we don't have a guarantee. The Geulah can come very nice. The thing is that when you internalize where we're holding, I sleep maybe 2 hours a night. I don't eat, I don't do anything, because I know that every second is valuable. I didn't eat the whole day today. Here and there I grabbed something, because I'm thinking, Mom, I'm going to have now time to go to eat. I can talk to another 5 people.
Everybody's at your level.
I'm not saying you have to be in my level. I'm just saying that when you really internalize the emergency state, then you go crazy. Now, the thing is that ultimately, again, there's no black and white answer. Nobody can come and say, it's safe, it's not safe. If you mentioned a few names, if you're looking at the big names in our generation, they all say the same thing. Run away from America.
You should speak to your Rabbi to get his advice. Because everybody's individual. You don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm also encouraging a lot of people. So, like you said, like you mentioned, it took you 12 years. Then your rabbi told you. Maybe he's going to tell the same thing to us. You never know.
So go and ask him.
You should ask him. You should get the information.
If you serve the Klal Israel 24 hours a day, you might have a green light to stay here. The point is, again,
maybe it is 24 hours. The video is still on.
The point is that I don't believe in any excuses. Not parnasa, not anything. I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying that it's very easy to go back into your comfort zone. One must consult with the right authority. And there are many rabbis in America that will tell you, nonsense, everything's fine. Don't believe in that. There were also rabbis 70 years ago in Europe that says, nonsense, it's fine. Not too long ago, 2 months ago, I was here on a tour of lectures. I went to Texas, I went to Dallas. One guy comes and he wanted to talk to me. He takes me to his home and we sit and talk, and he's asking me about the same thing. And I told him, you want my personal opinion? Pack your bags and leave. So he takes me to the basement and he shows me like barrels of food to last him for a year. Grains and salt. And he tells me, I have here enough food to sustain for a whole year. Water and food. And I told him, and how are you going to cook all this food? If there's going to be some type of something going on here, you think you're going to have electricity? You think you're going to have gas supply? I told him, why are you preparing this food? He's like, of course, if in case there's a Holocaust here. I told him, you're going to be in a concentration camp. You're not going to be in your home cooking your grains. And if there's going to be a nuclear attack on this country, you think you're going to have electricity? Both Iran and North Korea, they're saying they want to nuke America. Now, they're not going to throw some bombs here from the sky and they're going to hit a few cities. You know what they want to do? suitcase.
In suitcase they have a bomb.
No, what a suitcase going to do? Blow up a building? They want to do something that is called EMP, electric magnetic pulse. You know what it means? They shoot a dinky missile into the sky with a little small nuclear bomb on it. It explodes outside the atmosphere, and it shuts down any electric pulse in the range of thousands of miles. One shot, it shuts everything down. One shot. One shot, entire North America is back to the 18th century. One missile. One missile. Go online, I'm not inventing it. Just do EMP.